Hello, everyone, and welcome to Millennial Rewind, where we take a not so sentimental look at the movies and TV shows that were around when millennials were growing up. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you from the compensating for something capital of the world, Los Angeles, California. And joining me here in the City of Angels is my co host, Jules. Jules, how are you doing today?
I've been wiping my ass with storybooks since I was 14.
I've heard they're super absorbent. And joining us from the fart so foul it kills swampfish of Southern California, the Inland Empire, is my other co-host, John. John, what's happening?
I'm employing lactose-based interrogation techniques against my cookies.
John has ways of making them talk.
You know you're getting lonely when you start talking to your cookies and torturing them as you eat them.
No, I am comfortable being alone, and that is exactly what I mean, goddammit. Quit following me.
Before we get started, if you like what you hear today, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to share the show with anyone you think might like to listen as well. And all of that is because we watched the Academy Award-winning animated film Shrek. And John, how would you tell someone you watched Shrek without using the title?
Somebody once told me this fairy tale was boring. Ogre, jackass, and a damsel distressed.
And that's how John won the episode.
Sweet, I'm out.
And Jules, if the producers had asked you to come up with a different title for this film, what would it be?
It's so frustrating because we found, like, in my opinion, what has to be the greatest title for this movie, but I can't take credit for it, which is Summertime Grinch. So, yeah, I'm just gonna... I have a terrible title for this, but it's just Beast and the Beast.
That is also true. And also the beasts. I think by the end of it, there are three beasts.
There's more than just a couple beasts, yeah.
No, we get what you're going for. It's silly.
I don't get it.
I just still say Summertime Grinch is the better title.
It is a fantastic title. That was definitely on a tweet somewhere that Jules shared with us. So, guys, this was a massive movie. This is insanely massive. Had a big impact on the culture. So, what were your guys' experiences with Shrek?
I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater, and I'm not sure why. I think it was just CG movies were still so new. It was such a novelty. You had to go see it. Yeah, I mean, I saw this one. I saw the sequel in the theaters. That's really all I've seen out of the whole franchise. I remembered enjoying them. I'd forgotten a lot of it since then. And there was a period of time, especially when I'd cut my hair really short, that I got called Shrek a lot and hated it.
Oh, God. That's nasty. Well, I got called Harry Potter, so no sympathy.
There was a guy in my school, because I forget what his name was. They called him Mark the Fark, and then they called him Gaylord Farquaad, just because of Mark the Fark, and Fark means pig in Afrikaans. Like, this guy got it rough. So Lord Farquaad was used as a bullying term at my school for this one guy. Jules, how about you? Do you see this one in theaters?
Oh, yeah. This was a big smile for me when I was 14, if you hadn't guessed by my intro. I saw it in theaters, and it was a reminder that I can enjoy animated movies, even as a teenager. It was also a reminder that Disney was no longer the king of animation, and there were... Pixar and DreamWorks were really making the art at that point, and Disney was just distributing for Pixar. But also, I'm pretty sure, and this is the weirdest thing, this became the love story of teen muggers in England, because all the kinds of guys who would mug you and steal your cell phone in England were going in to see this movie and the sequels. I don't know why. It was just filled with people who scared the shit out of me, and I always just desperately tried to find an empty seat as far away as possible and leave as hastily as possible, because I didn't really get tall until I was 18.
Yeah, this was huge in South Africa. I definitely saw this in theaters. I think this was around the time where movies in South Africa were starting to be like distributed the year they came out pretty much everywhere else. So I saw this in the small 2-screen theater in the town where I went to boarding school. By the time I graduated, it would have a whole 3 screens, but at this time it only had 2. So I went to go see it there. I saw a lot of movies alone, so I don't know if I saw it with friends. Did I even have friends? audience, who knows? And yeah, it was just highly quoted. People, rented it for the house on not VHS, it was DVDs at this point. But yeah, it was massive. The sequel was massive. That's all I can really remember about it.
Well, the all-star cast. I mean, it was really when that shit hit home. I mean, Pocahontas had a few names, but I feel like Shrek was the one where they just went all out. And I mean, you get Eddie Murphy, you get Jonathan Lithgow, you get Cameron Diaz, you get Michael Myers. It's just monumental. And then the sequel gets John Cleese. I mean, it goes on from there.
Yeah, it was the first movie since basically Toy Story where it's like, I know who that actor
Yeah.
is.
Well, Toy Story had Tom Hanks as just huge name, and the others were sort of okay names, but not as big.
I mean, we all knew who Tim Allen was because of
Yeah,
Home
yeah, but he's
Improvement,
not he's not Tom Hanks. I mean, he's not Cameron Diaz.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, this was Cameron Diaz like at her peak. This is like Charlie's Angels.
Well, post
Time for Cameron.
Mask was when she came out as huge, right?
Well, she first got on everyone's radar for Everybody Loves Mary because of cum in her hair. That was
Something about Mary.
something about Mary. That's what did I say?
Everybody Loves Mary, which is a great synopsis of that movie. I mean,
The sequel we deserve.
The sitcom derivative that we deserve.
pretty sure that was after Mask, though. Like, Mask was kind of her breakthrough, right?
Yeah, Mask was her breakthrough.
Yeah, Mask was her breakthrough. Yeah, we definitely got to do that at some point.
Ridiculously sexy in that movie.
I'm gonna mess up and watch the Eric Stoltz Cher production instead. Totally different. It's a totally different thing.
So yeah, this was, DreamWorks kind of laying down the gauntlet for Pixar and Disney being like, yo, you're not the only kid on the block anymore.
Well, it's very much a stab at Disney, even though the characters they use are very much public domain and they're just enough not how Disney depicted them, but you still recognize it's the Disney versions. Like the three fairy godmothers from Sleeping Beauty are the same colors and their same wands, and like the pixie dust effect from obviously Tinkerbell and the clothes Pinocchio's wearing, just everything. And then even like the little It's a Small World knockoff song when they first go into the city for the little intro.
Oh yeah.
Everything is just kind of a fuck you to Disney.
And the horrible irony of it is that the company that ripped on Disney then tried to become Disney with the subsequent movies outside of the Shrek franchise. I mean, you got movies like How to Train Your Dragon, which is a wonderful movie, but it's very Disney.
They were kind of trying to go for that demographic with this one. Yeah, so originally Steven Spielberg bought the rights to the book that this was based off of back in like 1991, apparently. So this was a long time in the making. And then when DreamWorks kind of spun off and did its own thing, they got the rights from Spielberg and they started developing it. Jeffrey Katzenberg et al. And then they originally cast Chris Farley as Shrek. And I think a few years ago, they released some scenes where Chris Farley is acting with Eddie Murphy as Shrek. And it's very different, obviously, than the movie we eventually got.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. And after Farley had passed, and so his good friend Mike Meyers jumped in, and it got some rewrites, and the characters got changed a bit. But then pretty much once he was done, he had the idea to do the accent and re-recorded everything again.
Yeah, he wasn't originally going to be Scottish, and then he just remembered that he did it for Fat Bastard and some other movies, and he's like, actually, let me do him as a Scottish guy. And
well, he had this kind of voice for some of his SNL characters and stuff. It's something that he's always had kind of in his repertoire, but like they were a good way through completing, and he was like, you know what, I want to totally do all of this again.
But it paid off. It worked. This made on a $60 million budget in late 90s, early 2000s. It made close to nearly 500 million worldwide, like 460, 470 million worldwide. That is insane. The global box office back then wasn't what it was today.
That's the power of ugly people in your audience.
I have been to England. He's based off of the average dude that you encounter in Liverpool. That is just who Shrek is based off of. Ears and all. No, not you, John. You're not from Liverpool. John just took one of his headphones.
Yeah, I've got short hair now, so my ears are more prominent than they would normally be.
Shrek ever came to Liverpool, it would be, hey, what you was doing over here in Liverpool?
Liverpudlians are what you get right before you get Scotsmen.
That sounded like Mike Tyson with a terrible British accent.
The most horrible accent, the Liverpool accent. I'm sorry. To any Liverpool listeners, I apologize. You are an incredible, sweet people with a city, with a great culture, but your accent is awful. I'm sorry. It's just the worst. Next to Birmingham.
Anything you say before the word but doesn't count.
By the way, that Birmingham comment also counts for our Birmingham here in the US. That is a cross the pond criticism.
Right, except for all of the compliments beforehand.
Yes. No, you don't get that Birmingham, Alabama. You don't get any of those
No,
compliments.
you do not.
I've never been there, but I'm just going to assume you're terrible people.
Millennial Rewind condones prejudice to absolutely everyone.
Everyone and everything up to and including ourselves.
Yes, we are very equal and giving with our judgmental nature.
It's the power of self-loathing. Anyways,
No, I just hate everyone else. The only one I like. What are you talking about?
I actually believe you. So-
Why was I called Shrek again? Seriously, so much of this, except for like when he somehow finds quote unquote true love over the course of a single goddamn day, a lot of this spoke to me. I've got MySpace. Stay the fuck away.
I watched this movie and I'm like, they should have just called this John the movie. For like 3/4 of it, I'm just like, yep, that's exactly what John would have done. Yep, that's exactly what John would have done.
Yeah. Amazingly relatable.
All right, well, we got a lot of fairy tales to get to, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to start breaking down Shrek. We're going to break down Shrek.
Can't break me down.
Hi, folks. Welcome to Duloc. It's the most perfect town in all the land. Oh, ouch.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just seem to have some trouble in my joints and one of my legs here.
Oh, yeah? That knee right over there?
No, it's Disney. Haha, Disney, get it?
Ow. He got us. He got us, man.
I got you.
That's terrible.
Anyway, that's not important. What is important is that while you're here, you have to follow all the rules.
What kind of rules?
Well, first, no fairy tale creatures allowed.
Oh, yeah. I don't want none of them cross-dressing wolves or German pigs running around ruining my vacation.
Exactly. We don't want that either. They're gross. As a matter of fact, we killed a fairy tale mama bear the other day.
Yeah, good on you.
Wait, what did he say?
Second rule, all cue cards must be obeyed. If you read one that says drop your pants and start doing a hustle, you'd better do it, mister. Phil over here learned the hard way, didn't you, Phil?
I've been in this stock for 25 years.
Seems harsh.
He got what he deserved. Now look, there are a bunch of other rules, and there's just way too many to go through here, so tell you what, you go out there and have fun, make yourself at home, and remember, you fucking talk about that mama bear being killed, I will find you, I will fucking gut you like a fish in front of your children. Okay?
This is the kind of shit you had to learn at Warner Brothers, right?
At some point, you just have to let them know where they stand. And we're back, and we're going to start off with the Universal Studios logo, and God, this is my favorite studio intro out of all of them. Like, this will get you pumped for anything. Like, to listen to, I don't know, Gilbert Gottfried reading the phone book.
God, what the fuck was that sketch or whatever? They actually got Gilbert Gottfried, but it was like him doing the audiobook for 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yes.
She slid her hands down the thighs of the... The whole video, it's like, you know, lady like sits on a bench waiting for a bus or something, like hits play, and then she gets the biggest, like, what the fuck is this expression on her face?
We also get some Shrek S's on the DreamWorks logo. And we open up onto a leather-bound storybook, and we hear Shrek, Mike Meyers, in a Scottish accent, narrating a story about a beautiful princess who had an enchantment put on her that could only be broken by true love's first kiss. And he's kind of flicking through the storybook, and we're seeing pictures that go with the story. So for some fucking reason, this princess was put in the highest room of the tallest tower. Remember that, kids, that's very important. in a castle guarded by a dragon.
Right.
Because a fairy tale needed to happen. I suppose that's why. And although many knights tried to save her, so far they'd all failed. So she's just sitting there in the castle waiting for her true love. And Shrek's like, right, like that'll ever happen. And then he tears out a page of his book to wipe his ass.
And we have already kicked off with, why the hell did they bother with this being an adaptation in the first place? Because this is nothing like the story it came from.
It defines what this movie is. This is a Disney-like opening that then they just wipe their ass with it. They're clarifying what kind of movie you are about to watch.
Yes, again, this movie is very much a middle finger to Disney. Love it. If they changed his name and made Donkey any other animal, you wouldn't have to do anything with the rights to Shrek.
Yeah, it's not like that book had name recognition.
Yeah, not even that. And I mean, it's incredibly short. Through the library, I checked out the audiobook just to see what it was like. Stanley Tucci reads it, by the way. It's seriously 8.5 minutes.
Wow.
It is insanely short, and Shrek has flame breath, and his stench like kills things around him. And basically, a witch tells him that he's going to marry the ugliest creature, and he gets super fucking hyped for it. A donkey gives him directions to where the ugly princess is, and he fights a knight and burns him with his flame breath. The dude dives in the moat, and he sees ugly princess, and they fall in love, and they terrorize the shit out of everyone they come across and live terribly ever after. Like, that's it.
Wow. Okay, so basically, yeah, they did not need to get the rights to that book at all. Well, cue Smash Mouth.
Oh, Smash Mouth.
Oh, Smash Mouth.
I had one of your albums. And that was around, I think it was like 98 or 99 when that album got released. It was the one that had this song on it. And by the time this movie came out, I was over them.
I will say there is something that I couldn't resist saying, and that's the fact that the song All Star is playing to an all star cast being presented to you.
Very true. Yeah, this song got way overplayed by the end of it, and Smash Mouth became MAGA guys recently.
Yeah, I did have it when I was watching this. I'm like, oh, Smash Mouth, whatever happened? It's like, oh, they've been going this whole time, and yeah, got a bit MAGA. The lead singer finally retired just this past year. They got someone else.
I mean, this is like the only song they're known for, and I can only imagine having to sing All Star over and over again for 20 years.
You had Walking on the Sun.
Yeah.
But apparently in my Where Are They Now, they recently did a cover of the fucking Rick Roll song. Never Gonna Give You Up. The Rick Astley Never Gonna Give You
What
Up.
the fuck?
Yes.
That song has
Oh, it
become
sounds
popular.
terrible. It sounds terrible. I had to look it up.
You can't mess with perfection.
I mean, there's only really two nitpicks I have in this intro, one of which it has a fart joke, and there are going to be fart jokes in this movie, which instantly makes me roll my eyes. The second is when the townsfolk start doing tactics of how they're going to attack Shrek, and then they just decide to sprint right in afterwards.
Right?
Well, they're tactics if you look at it, because, while Shrek's doing Shrek things like taking mud showers and farting in a lake and killing fish and brushing his teeth with the extruded guts of a worm. Yeah, the townsfolk look at a wanted poster for the ogre, and their entire tactic that they're, drawing into the sand of the town street is frontal assault. Just run at him from the front. That was the tactic anyway.
Yeah, but a few people get to do it slightly sideways, like slightly to the side. They're still very much in front and not flanking. And yet, when it's time to do their torches and pitchforks, they just clump together and move as one mass.
But before we continue on that, there's one thing I have to say about this opening intro montage to Smash Mouth's All Star. Shrek leaves his outhouse where he was taking a shit while reading the book, and he just looks around and he's so fucking happy. He's so happy with his little hovel in the swamp. He's happy with his life, genuinely happy. There, he wants for nothing. So basically, this movie is about how Shrek had already found happiness, and the world outside fucked with it.
So relatable.
What's your point? That's what happens in life constantly.
I know. Like,
Mhm.
usually in a story that's like, okay, I'm alone, but maybe I wouldn't mind somebody to share my life with, which is something they alluded to in the Chris Farley clip I saw. There's none of that. He is just the happiest motherfucker. Like, I'm envious of this happiness.
Yeah, I might be alone, but I am not lonely.
That does become a glimpse of what's missing a bit later, though, because of the second chair at the table.
True. That comes in later, though.
Comes in a set.
So my question is, because the mob with the pitchforks and torches interrupts Shrek while he's eating. Where does he get all these eyeballs?
Yes, right?
Shrek has
Right?
murdered the townsfolk. You know, they sort of pretend like it's a joke, but those eyeballs prove that he has massacred the townsfolk for eyeballs to add to his martinis.
Yeah,
But he
he's-
doesn't just have them in martinis. There's eyes that are part of his meals. They go with everything. At what point is Shrek not using the eyes after he kills something?
And some of those eyes do not look human, or like they have like the
They're
long
various sizes and
pupil shapes. This is a veritable variety pack of eyeballs that he's
Well,
got.
this is what I mean. The English muggers and criminals of the UK idolized him because he's clearly a guy who commits heinous crimes, but is a protagonist in a movie.
he's working up to build miniatures of bloodborne bosses.
So many eyeballs.
Thanks, Jules got it. Yes.
I have not played Bloodborne, so I don't.
It has all the eyes.
Okay, I will need to play Bloodborne. Yeah, so he sees the mob coming, and he's like, "Oh, these silly guys," because this is just a minor annoyance for him. He like sneaks up behind them.
Yes, he does not give two shits. It's just the sooner he scares him away, the sooner he can get back to his existence. There is no threat.
Nope. Because like the townsfolk are like, I heard ogres, grind your bones to make their bread, and he's like, actually, that's more like giants.
Yeah, Shrek is surprisingly stealthy.
Very stealthy. He definitely rolled high on his stealth check. And so he talks about, well, actually, ogres, they'll, squeeze the juices out of you and shave your liver. Like, get a badger brush and some shaving soap and just, like, get it nice and smooth. You got a 5 o'clock shadow on your liver.
Dude, I'm telling you, once you have some hairy liver, you are never making that mistake again. Right.
What aftershave do you put on a liver? Anyways.
Lavender oil.
Yeah, just as like a boss power move, he puts out one of their torches with his fingers, just like the guy's trying to like wave his torch at him. He's like, nope. Psht.
One of the many hilarious jokes in this movie is just waving the fire at him. He just puts it out with a lick.
I feel really bad for the guy that he specifically roars at, because you get the wonderfully nasty close-up of Shrek's mouth and this very thick, gloopy saliva like shooting out on this guy's face, and he starts screaming in terror, and some of that got in his mouth.
True.
That is gross, but also I'm glad you mentioned this roar, John, because for the most part, this movie's animation holds up. It still looks pretty good,
There are so many moments where it so doesn't, though.
but this is one of those moments, because my note is here is this movie didn't have Ogre Gum's texture budget.
No, it did not.
Not at all. No textures on these ogre gums. And then he's at this great moment, he's like, this is the part where you run away. And so they do, and Shrek gets a good chuckle out of that.
To which I have that Shrek watched Mortal Kombat and learned from Johnny Cage.
And he sees that they've dropped a wanted poster for fairy tale creatures. What's that about? Well, we'll find out right now, because cut to a group of knights paying various townsfolk money for their fairy tale creatures.
Yeah, my note here is casual genocide in kids' movie is casual.
Oh, very casual. Very, very casual. Yeah, you got like
There's
the
no
seven.
genocide happening here.
Are you kidding
It's
me?
a relocation.
That's what every genocidal dictator has said in history.
Sure, that's how they start out. I'm just saying we're not there yet. It's merely a forced relocation. just
Every
that.
genocide in history.
Just that.
Yeah, that's the preamble. So yeah, all these creatures, from the seven dwarves to elves to fairies to witches, they're all getting put in these paddy wagons.
Wonderful little details as well. The seven dwarves are singing "He, oh hi, he, prisoners are we."
Oh,
I didn't catch that. That's lovely.
That's amazing.
We have Geppetto selling Pinocchio into bondage.
I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy. And then
Whoop.
whoop, nose goes long.
Possessed puppet. Very good.
Yes, yes, like 5 shillings for the possessed puppet.
And this is where we get the start of a really, really dark subplot in this movie.
There's a few. I was surprised at how dark this movie actually was.
So this is the first, last, and only time we are going to see the mama bear of the three bears from Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The first, last, and only time we will see her alive.
But we will see her corpse.
Yep. Jules is right. Jules is right.
I missed the corpse, but I actually did watch this on DVD for this time, and on the menu you have like the fairy tale grid, and it is just Daddy and Baby Bear. Also, the special features menu is gingerbread man on a baking sheet, and whenever you make a selection, one of his legs gets snapped off.
Oh, we'll get to the Gestapo.
No, I'm
scene
just
later.
saying, even the DVD menus are dark and fucked up, and I love it.
So the captain of the guard here, the guy who's giving out the shillings for the fairy tale creatures, played by Jim Cummings, who is the modern voice actor for Winnie the Pooh. So he's playing both sides. Clearly.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
He'll take Disney's money and he'll take DreamWorks money.
Oh yeah, he was also Scar.
When was he Scar?
You're thinking of Jeremy
Ryan?
Irons.
Yeah, you're thinking of Jeremy Irons.
I'm pretty sure he did the song then. I think Jim Cummings did Be Prepared.
We're gonna have to look into that. I'm not sure.
I'm going to double check.
Yeah, so this is where we meet Donkey, the talking donkey, played by Eddie Murphy, and his old lady owner is just kind of sick of his shit, I guess, because she's here to sell him.
This is the first of the many abusive relationships that Donkey goes through in this movie.
Oh my god, Donkey he needs to find better people in his life.
He needs to shut the hell up is what he needs to do. Yeah, that's right. I'm going there.
Both things can be true at the same time. But when she gets to the front, she's like, hey, I got a talking donkey. And Captain of the Guard's like, well, that's good for 10 shillings. You just got to make it talk. And Donkey's just realizes naturally that if he shuts the fuck up, he won't get sold. And so he does. And the old lady tries to do, like a ventriloquist bit with him that totally fails. And I think they try to like get her out of the way, which inadvertently causes one of them to knock
Tinkerbell.
over Tinkerbell, in a little cage, and gets the fairy dust all over Donkey. He's like, oh, hey, I'm flying. And everyone's like, oh my god, he's flying. And the guard's like, oh, wait a second, he's talking.
And a nice little backhanded slap at Disney. Ain't never seen a donkey fly.
Yeah, like, you may have seen a house fly, you may have seen a super fly, but I bet you've never seen a donkey fly.
How is that a slap at Disney?
Crows from Dumbo.
It does sound like the crows from Dumbo.
Okay. But yeah, Jim Cummings filled in. I guess Irons had voice problems for the song, so he did Be Prepared. And then he also voiced the hyena that wouldn't just stop laughing. Like all he did was laugh the whole damn time.
Yeah, so the fairy dust wears off really fast and he's got to run away, but he doesn't have to run far because he literally runs into Shrek and hides behind him. And the guards try to arrest them both, but they know that it's stupid. Like,
Yeah, the vast majority shit their pants and then disappear once the camera cuts away.
Yeah, these aren't very brave Gestapo officers.
So yeah, they all run away. And Donkey's very grateful for the help, so much so that he follows Shrek and won't shut the fuck up.
Seriously, Donkey, my god. Absolutely on Team Shrek here. It's like, yes, I helped you out. Shut up and go away. I'm going my way. You find whatever it is that your way is.
John, when you go to hell, you are absolutely getting a donkey that's going to follow you around for eternity.
Fuck. I was so looking forward to hell, too.
And we get a second fart joke when Shrek literally tries to hold Donkey's mouth closed, and he starts talking about the time he ate rotten berries, and he had some horrible smells coming out of his butt that time, and it's just like, for fuck's sake, this is a good story, why are you ruining it?
It's
With
for
the
the
lowest
kids.
form of comedy.
Yeah, and 14-year-old me loved it.
You like the fart jokes?
Back
Shame
then
on
I did, for
14-year-old you. Even a 14-year-old me didn't like those jokes.
Well, excuse me, 14-year-old Jules.
He should be excused.
I especially love this thing. You'll come across it with radio and like call-in shows where they'll ask the person to hold on and they'll clarify a point or ask another question or whatever, and they cut back to the caller who just had not stopped talking the whole fucking time. So when Shrek clams Donkey's mouth shut, he's still just rambling on his goddamn story for a while.
Nope.
And then Releasey just picks right back up wherever he was.
It keeps following him, and eventually Shrek turns around like, hey man, I'm a fucking ogre. Doesn't that bother you? And Donkey's like, nope, doesn't bother me. And Shrek kind of like lets his guard down. It's the first time someone's been cool with him being an ogre, and he tells Donkey his name.
I would like to point out, though, that, and this has always bugged me in both movies and video games, is why does the POV shot include a lens flare? Why do eyeballs have lens flares? Or why do filmmakers think eyeballs have lens flares?
Dirty contact lenses.
Still doesn't create a fucking lens flare.
I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where if the image is too clean, the audience won't accept it.
True.
And now we've gotten to the point where like DPs and everything have gotten so good at being able to reduce some of the people, add them back in, not just JJ Abrams.
But they did this wonderful thing with the perspective on Shrek, and then they add the lens flare, which kind of ruins it.
I think it's fine.
Secret JJ Abrams. So they reach Shrek's place, and Donkey is immediately like, man, what a shithole. Who the hell would live here?
Well, I told you to fuck off and go somewhere else, but no. Wouldn't shut up long enough to listen to me.
Yeah, Shrek's pretty much like, hey, dickhead, that's my house.
And Donkey reveals that he used to work in interior design. He starts talking about how modest the budget is and starts pointing out features as he goes.
Yeah, again, shut the fuck up, quit trying to flatter me, and go away.
He's like, I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder.
Fuck off, Donkey.
That line always
Fuck
tickled
off.
me.
It is a great line, though. It is
yeah.
a great line.
So Donkey pleads with Shrek to let him stay, and if Shrek's like, fine, you can stay with me for one night.
And by with me, I mean...
You get to sleep outside, motherfucker.
You can stay in the general vicinity of my hut.
Yeah, Donkey rushes in. He thinks he's gonna stay inside. He's like, gets onto Shrek's chair, and he's like, oh man, we're gonna stay up late. We're gonna tell stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
I think I would have to melt a little bit right there. And it's like, oh shit, we got waffles coming? All right.
You would have drawn the line at swapping manly stories.
For waffles, though? I'd probably negotiate some blueberries into the deal.
What would you do for waffles?
Blueberry waffles? Hell of a lot.
Important philosophical question.
Especially since I don't have a waffle iron, I am really curious how he's going to pull this off.
Well, in this universe as well, we don't know that Shrek's got a waffle iron.
Pretty sure he doesn't.
Is Donkey gonna forge a waffle iron explicitly for the purpose of making waffles the next day? That's the only possible way this could probably happen.
Shrek preserves the eyes from his prey. He's not gonna have like baking supplies. Are you fucking kidding me?
You get another look at the jar of eyeballs as he's preparing dinner that night. He uses one as an olive in his martini, as we mentioned before. And yeah, the question begs, does he viciously murder and eat humans in the nearby town? Or is he a grave robber?
Okay, no los dos.
Or he just hunts down animals and yoinks their eyes out. Like,
And more importantly, why does he have 2 dining chairs?
Again, it came as a set.
You don't think he built it? You think he works with...
No.
You think he has an interior designer?
Oh, definitely not. He went to Fantasy IKEA, picked up a set of chairs and a table.
So yeah, and Donkey's just kind of chilling outside because he's been booted out because he's not staying, as we mentioned, not actually staying with Shrek, but staying near him. So Shrek sits down to eat a nice meal of gross things. He's interrupted by the 3 blind mice just showing up, fucking around with his stuff. One of them tries to bite it, well, actually succeeds in biting his ear, thinking that it's cheese because it probably smells bad. And then the 7 dwarves put Snow White on the table. She's in her glass coffin.
And another just wonderful
line, yeah. Dead broad off the table. I mean, my note was, if I had a dime for every time I had to tell Nick that at a dinner party...
But then the best comeback too. Well, where else are we supposed to put her? The bed's taken. Decorum states you leave your corpses on the bed.
Also, Jules, it's really hard keeping broads alive, and I wish you'd stop being so judgy.
Oh my god.
Oh dear, but yeah, then he goes to his bedroom and he finds the wolf dressed as Granny with the most hilarious simple line. What?
Uh, remember this wolf for the end. He has a very happy ending. I'll get to it. So he throws the wolf out. The happy ending, not quite here yet. Only to find this densely packed squatter camp full of fairy tale creatures in his backyard.
They've turned Shrek Swamp into Auschwitz.
Or just like a refugee camp.
Yeah, I was going for refugee camp / reservation.
Yeah, I didn't see any Arbeit macht frei signs anywhere.
Yeah, there's no walls, no fences.
They've
no
only just
guard.
been moved there. It takes a bit of time and a little more progress into World War II for it to actually start happening. Come on. We see glimpses of it later on.
You are way too well versed in the protocols of forced relocation. I am uncomfortable.
I know history.
And this is where we see the next phase of the morbid story of the three bears, because the little baby bear is crying into Papa Bear's shoulders and Mama Bear is nowhere to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Oh god, yeah, it's so subtle. It's so subtle.
I've still got the DVD in. I'll pull it up when we take a break because I need a laugh.
Dead mama bears. I get it, they are hilarious.
The new dead baby joke is the dead mama bad joke.
No, it was actually more of just the sad crying children. More of what brought me joy.
And Shrek's like, get the fuck out of my swamp. And Pinocchio's there, like, well, gosh, we don't want to be here. And then one of the three little pigs, who, by the way, has like a yellow plastic construction hat on for reasons. I don't know why. I was like, yeah, Lord Farquaad sent us here. He huffed and he puffed and he signed an eviction notice.
I think the construction hat is because he's probably building so many houses.
He's probably the one with the brick house, most likely.
That would make sense. And so Shrek is just like, oh, okay, fuck. I gotta deal with this. Does anybody know where to find Lord Farquaad? And the baby bear starts to raise his paw, and the papa bear is like, no, puts his paw down. Just like, no, you're not going. And so Donkey, he's just like, oh, me, pick me, pick me, pick me. It's like, all right,
Does anybody else know?
where Lord Farquaad is. And everyone's just deadly silent.
Anybody at all?
Eventually he's got to give up, and he's like, all right, fuck, fine, I'll take the goddamn donkey. All right, just nobody get comfortable. Your welcome has already been worn out. I'm gonna go talk to this Farquaad guy and get this sorted out. And he gets a response that he was not expecting, because they all start cheering him.
They are so ridiculously overjoyed at this. Yes.
Yep. To clarify, Shrek doesn't give a rat's ass about any one of them.
Not even the hummingbirds that put down a cape of flowers around his shoulders.
I'm pretty sure there was another
Christ.
fuck you to Disney. It was just like, fuck you, Bluebirds. Get the fuck out of it.
Oh, there's a bigger fuck you to bluebirds later. We're gonna get there.
Oh,
God,
there's
yes.
so many. Not to mention that the guy who runs the very Disneyland-esque city, his name's almost Fuckwad. There's no way that's a coincidence. Come on.
That did not occur to me. That is amazing.
That never occurred to you? Holy shit.
This entire movie is desperately trying to say swear words as much as possible. They managed to drop two asses into the dialogue. It wants to swear. It really wants to swear at kids. I love it.
I want to see a rated R Shrek movie. Make one for the adults. Make ones for the OGs who watched it when they were young and are now adults. We've earned it, DreamWorks. We fucking earned it. So, yeah, Shrek and Donkey head off on their quest. And Donkey starts singing Willie Nelson's On the Road again. And Shrek's like, no, you are not fucking singing this entire time. And then Donkey's like, hey, what if I hummed it? He's like, fine, you can hum the damn song. So
I'll hum it. I'll whistle it. Like he can't not be quiet though. My brother had a similar thing, or he just like very very loudly would burst into song, and one time my mom finally convinced him to just sing it in his head, and after about like 5 seconds, he was like, "But I can't stand it. It's annoying like that." It's like, no shit.
picturing your brother's like Curly from Oklahoma just bursts into a room and goes, "Oh, what a beautiful morning."
Weirdly hates musicals, though.
Go figure.
So cut to evil milk pouring to spooky organ music.
I totally misremembered this scene. I didn't remember anything about the milk, which I thought was hilarious and inspired. And I thought that the gingerbread man was whole and you actually got to see his legs get ripped off. For some reason, I remembered it working out that way. But no, they're already gone for Lithgow to do the taunting.
The milk is being poured out by this guy in an executioner's hood. He's great. Keep an eye on this character throughout the movie.
This is other me in the movie.
He's the best. Thelonious. But what I do want to say is that waterboarding, dismembered victims' legs, this is exactly the kind of stuff I want in my kids' movie.
Right?
Wait.
Isn't it hilarious? We have forced relocation. We have enhanced interrogation techniques. It's beautiful.
So we also meet Lord Farquaad, played by John Lithgow. God, I love John Lithgow.
He does it so well. This intro to the character is fantastic because it's so ominous and the camera starts below him and then this beautiful, not over elaborate reveal of how short he is. Basically, it's just a camera perspective and then he walks forward and he's half the size of his gods.
So much so when he walks into the torture room, he has to have the guard lower the table that's suspended on chains down so he can see the gingerbread man on the tray. Oh, and then this is fucked up. Speaking of fucked up torture, like as we mentioned, the gingerbread man's legs are already torn off, so he picks up the gingerbread man's legs and like fingers and thumbs in either hand. And he starts making them move, and he goes, "Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man."
Oh God, I love that.
You're a
that is
monster.
so twisted.
It's
So
so
twisted.
fucking-
I love it.
But then it gets extra twisted because when he talks about how much like the fairy tale creatures were fucking up his perfect kingdom, he takes one of the legs and just crushes it into crumbs and just casually drops the crumbs on the ground.
Oh yeah, he is so delightfully evil and over the top, and it is still only a fraction of his hamminess from Santa Claus. I just needed to watch Nick die a little. I had to mention that movie again.
We also get the famous Muffin Man bit.
Good. Again, more brilliance. They treated the Muffin Man song as a dialogue. How fucking amazing is that? How fucking amazing is that? Seriously.
And he gets the gingerbread man to give up the muffin man. He's already torn his legs off, but it's the second he goes for his gumdrop buttons.
Oh,
He's like,
it's the Muffin Man's wife, though.
yeah, but he doesn't give it up until he can't walk now, and he's like he's defiant. But as soon as you go for his fucking gumdrop buttons, he's like, no, not the gumdrop buttons.
Fashion being a lot more important than your limbs.
Apparently,
Yeah.
damn.
You can always bake new legs. Come on.
He's like, do you know the Muffin Man,
The Muffin Man?
the one who lives on Drury Lane?
Yes, I do know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane. She's
Well,
married
she's
to
married
the
to
Muffin
the
Man.
Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
The Muffin Man!
She's married to the Muffin Man. It's fucking brilliant.
It's so
It's-
good.
Also, fun fact about Los Angeles, we have a Drury Lane. There is a Drury Lane in Los Angeles. Somebody took the Muffin Man song and decided to make it real in
There's
Los
Drury
Angeles.
Inn and Suites in places. But is there a Muffin Man on Drury Lane? That is the question.
No, it's a residential area. I mean, maybe people make muffins on Drury Lane.
I think you'd have to put that into the HOA. If you live on Drury Lane, you are required to bake muffins.
So the captain of the guard bursts in. And he's like, "My lord, we found it." And it turns out to be a magic mirror with the most weird, like, when you go to a theater and you see like the comedy face mask and the tragedy face mask, it's like that one of those came to life. That is the dude in the magic mirror.
Well, that's what they did for Cinderella. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Ah.
Snow White.
Snow
But
White,
yeah,
sorry. Yes.
that's what I was going to get to as well. It's the copyright safe version of the magic mirror from Disney. And he doesn't want to answer Farquaad's questions. And so he has the executioner hold up a tiny hand mirror and just punch it.
That's so good. Falcon Punch. It's brilliant.
No, no, it's casual. This is not Falcon Punch. And you get the sense that this guy could have accomplished that with just like flicking it with his finger, man. This takes no effort at all.
Yeah, I did want to see more of the Thelonious story, I have to say, because
He needs his
it's
own
the best.
spinoff. Lord Farquaad asks the magic mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, which is the most perfect kingdom of them all? And he's like, well, technically it's not a kingdom because you're not a king. And that's when the mirror gets punched.
But you totally could be. Just marry a princess. And is that really how becoming king works? Yeah.
In Shrek world, yes. Don't think about it.
And in Disney World, that's the point.
Well, yeah, because Jasmine
uh,
must be married to a prince.
One of the things, because I love the Bachelorette sequence. It's just this beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful
the dating game.
throw outside. But I do have to nitpick, and I hate nitpicking good movies, but Cinderella was not a princess.
But she became one by marrying a prince.
Exactly. So he couldn't have picked her to be a princess to become a prince because she's not a princess.
But she's a Disney princess and she's a well-known name. I get what you're going for, but
Well, actually, I'm running with the fact that because the images already showed like the loss of the slipper and stuff like that, her story had already concluded. And so for some reason, either her husband died or Farquaad's option is just to steal her. I mean, Snow White is still asleep in her hermetically sealed glass coffin. But
He claimed that that's her hobby is cleaning for her evil stepsisters, so clearly she's still in that hellhole.
yes, hobbies in very strong air quotes. there. My hobby is getting paid a wage for labor that I perform.
None of us get paid wages.
Do what you love. Not at this.
But it's so brilliant the way it's like, here we got Snow White. Don't let her dead lips fool you. She's a hot ticket, like that kind of thing. Just
Sleeping Beauty, yeah.
Sleeping Beauty. They're like, okay, Lord Farquaad, the guards are weighing their options, but the third option is Princess Fiona, who's in a castle surrounded by lava, but don't let that cool you off. It's amazing. She loves pina coladas
and walks in
getting
the
caught in the
rain.
rain.
And getting caught in the rain. And
Getting
yes,
caught in the
they
rain.
do play the song.
And despite the fact that she is objectively the hardest one to get
Yeah,
to.
seriously.
Yeah. And he takes advice from Thelonious of all people.
Yes, because they're like, all right, so which one do you want, Lord Farquaad? Bachelorette number 1, Bachelorette number 2, or Bachelorette number 3? And all the guards are starting to call out their numbers. And yeah, Thelonious has the best because he holds up 2 fingers and says, "Free, my lord, pick
Exactly.
free."
He's the best.
Lord Farquaad succumbs to peer pressure and picks number 3. He picks Fiona because an idiot in a fucking executioner mask said, pick free, my lord.
And again, we have to nitpick a good movie, but we have the cliche, I don't have time to listen to significant information cliche, because the mirror says, I should probably mention something that happens at night. Silence!
Yeah, it was so close to an exact, there's no tie.
Exactly.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a shit what the magic mirror has to say to this point, and he says, Captain, assemble your finest men, because they're gonna have a tournament. So Shrek and Donkey arrive at Disneyland. Sorry, I mean Duloc. Duloc is the name of the city. It's not Disneyland, but it's set up like Disneyland. It's an obvious ripoff of Disneyland.
Yeah, there's a roped off queue area, like just to enter the city with a sign for how long the wait is, and then turnstiles and everything.
Giant oversized mask guy who's watching the doors. Yeah.
Mascot guy, but also there's giant parking lots outside the city, and there's signs saying you are parked in Lancelot.
Lancelot.
Yeah. So this guy, the mascot, who's dressed up as Lord Farquaad, this giant, I guess, fiberglass head, because when he bonks himself and knocks himself out, it does sound like a fiberglass thing knocking against something. And so they go in, and it's the place is pristine, it's manicured. There's a flower picture of Lord Farquaad, kind of like how there's a flower picture of Mickey at the entrance of Disneyland.
It's almost like
It's
they're trying to tell us something
I know.
with Lord Fuckwad.
Again, to nitpick, it's quiet, too quiet cliche. Line has to come, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
irritating. But they get redeemed. They get redeemed with the best location song ever.
We almost get our first ass.
Exactly.
We
They
almost get our
just
first ass of the movie, yeah.
they tease you with it.
Yeah, so basically they see an information kiosk, and they're like, "Okay, well, we'll pull the lever next to the information kiosk. Maybe that'll tell us what's going on." And then we get an "It's a Small World" ripoff as the thing opens, and these tiny little not creatures, like I don't know,
Puppets.
They're South Park Canadians.
Canadian. Yeah, so they're South Park Canadians
Yeah.
That's very accurate.
with flapping heads, singing a song about Duloc.
Welcome to Duloc, such a perfect place. Here we have some rules. Let's lay them down.
Yeah, basically be nice and polite, don't litter.
Basically, yeah, fall in line. It's a sort of dystopian song
Yes.
about Duloc being basically a brutal dictatorship, and then they tease you with wiping your ass, but then they say face at the last minute.
Shine your shoes, wipe your face.
Because Duloc is a
Keep
perfect
off the
place.
grass, wipe your shoes, wipe your face. Yep.
And during like this lead up to this, is this the first time they see the giant castle? And Shrek's like, "Oh, you think this Lord Farquaad
Yep.
is competent?" Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when they're walking up.
After the song, it takes a photo of them, and the expressions on Shrek and Donkey are fantastic.
They are quite fat because they're so confused about what they saw, and then
And
Donkey's
then,
like,
yeah, as much as Donkey annoys me, I loved this moment where he's just like, because they're both confused to all hell, and then all of a sudden he's like, let's do it again.
and Shrek's like, "No,
No.
absolutely not."
But yeah, I like to think this is the OG Everything is Awesome song from the Lego movie. It was it really was the original just dystopian everything is awful to an upbeat.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you're getting at there. So they hear some trumpets and cheering coming from a nearby arena, so they go to check it out. And to speak to the catchiness of the tune, Donkey's humming it, and Shrek is just not having it. He turns to me like, "You're going the right way for a smack bottom."
Yeah, my note to this is how my foreplay lines ended up in the script of this movie. I'll never know.
And so Lord Farquaad is there, and he's talking to his would-be champions about how the winner will go out and fight the dragon, and if he gets killed, the next one will go, and so on and so forth. And then we get one of the most memed moments of the movie because he says, "Some of you may die, but that's a risk I'm willing to take."
What an asshole. It's great.
The best part of this, and this is something that doesn't translate in the meme, is that Jonathan Lithgow's delivery of this line is so perfect.
Chef's kiss.
Absolutely. 100%.
Chef's kiss. And what I love is that the audience in the crowd, like the crowd is treated like a studio audience because there's guys holding signs telling them how they should react to every moment.
Oh, the cue cards.
Yeah, the cue cards.
Yeah.
I didn't see those here. I mean, they're definitely later on, yeah, but I didn't see
No,
them
this is
here.
where they start. This is our first
Cool. No,
encounter.
cool.
But back to the some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm wondering if that's something anyone says when they abandon children.
Why would you bother saying anything to them?
Okay, so we have two different styles of abandoning children. And for new listeners, that came organically from a previous episode. It means to jerk off.
I was about to say, I was talking about the Legally Blonde version of abandoning children. Of course they're going to die. What do you mean there's a chance?
Shrek comes in, and there's kind of a gasp. Lord Farquaad kind of changes his mind. He's actually, you know what? Whoever kills the ogre gets to go off and fight a dragon. Great prize for fighting an ogre. So cue fight scene to bad reputation by Half-Cocked. Just a lot of the shit getting beaten out of
It's
knights.
a lot of WWE
Yeah, a lot of pro wrestling.
moments. Yep.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be like a paddock for animals, but it just turned into a wrestling ring, and the crowd's digging it. The crowd's digging the show that Shrek's putting on.
Yeah, at first they're disappointed by the fact that Shrek is beating the living shit out of all of the knights. But once he starts, bouncing them off ropes and pile driving and whatnot, they get into it.
Yeah, and I do want to mention as well that now we also have a beer reference where Shrek chugs an entire pint and then pours beer out on everyone. So now we have some good alcohol references for our kids movie, which I just want to say was a fantastic base for a lot of alcoholics, including myself.
Yeah, he starts the fight by smacking the tap off a giant keg and like flooding the arena with beer. The tap, by the way, that was made out of wood. I just wanted to point that out. That's a very splintery beer you're gonna have.
Not if you have good craftsmanship.
Yeah, so the fight ends with, Shrek's just finished chucking one of the last knight into the corner of the arena, and Donkey kicks him in the helmet, and that's kind of sounds like a closing bell, and he's beating the
Yeah,
crap
so
out
I
of
have
everyone.
Donkey just fucking murdered that guy.
Probably.
Well, the corpses are piling up after the Shrek eyeballs in the jar.
Yeah, he's definitely going home with some more jar eyeballs.
But here's where we get to a point where I have a huge question, because Farquaad makes the order for everyone to point their crossbows at Shrek.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Why is Farquaad sending knights one at a time to rescue the princess, as opposed to sending an army?
He is genre savvy and knows that that's the way these rescues must be undertaken.
But he's just the guy who clearly just takes what he wants, no matter what.
There's still rules.
Too forced, in my opinion.
Look, he's already not doing it himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose by sending knights one by one to their deaths.
Send an army. That's just, gonna give you more odds of getting the princess back to you.
He read the book
I don't think so.
beforehand.
I think if you harry and harass the dragon one at a time, see, if you send a whole army, it can just, one fell swoop, take them all out. You got to go one at a time to systematically wear down the defense. Because
Tactical
Fuckwad,
idiocy.
I will not use his real name, by the way, because clearly Fuckwad has spent that much time thinking about this.
So anyways, Lord Farquaad, Lord Fuckwad, however you want to pronounce his name, he's realized that this ogre's a crowd pleaser, so he's not going to kill him. He's in fact going to crown Shrek their champion, and he's going to send him on a quest. And he's like, quest? I'm already on a fucking quest. Like, what the hell? I just want my swamp back. You put all these fucking fairy tale creatures there. And so Lord Fuckwad's like, okay, look, I'll make you a deal. Go rescue the princess, and I will move all the squatters off your land.
Yep, and it'll be just like it was before. We're going to leave it untouched. We're not going to fuck with your land. It's going to be yours.
He's gonna send them straight to the gas chamber.
Dude, all you have to do is leave them there to go through Shrek's morning routine.
So Shrek obviously takes the deal because he starts walking out into, on a quest. And Donkey points out how bullshit this whole thing. And he's like, hey man, you're going to go rescue a princess to get land back for a guy who's the reason why you don't have your land. And he's like, yeah, well, what the fuck did you want me to do? He's like, do some of that ogre shit. Oh, you wanted me to go just slaughter that entire town? Oh, maybe not.
Well, this Shrek line just doesn't make any sense. He talks about putting their heads on pikes, and when we've clearly seen, he just, instead of putting all their heads on pikes, he just takes their eyeballs for his martinis.
And he also makes sure to shave their livers. So
We have not seen what he does with the heads after removing the eyes.
It's true. You don't need eyeballs in a head that you put on a pike. Eyes are not necessary for that. Shrek's like, look, Donkey, ogres are a lot more complicated than people think. And Donkey's like, well, how are they complicated? And Shrek just happens to be holding an onion.
This is a famous ogres are like onions metaphor.
Yes, this moment very famous. He's like, look, ogres are like onions. And Donkey's like, oh, they're stinky? They make people cry?
You leave them out in the sun too long, they turn
They
brown
turn
and
brown.
grow little
White hairs.
They grow little white hairs.
And he's like, no, they have layers. Onions have layers. Like, oh. It's like, yeah, well, more people like cake and they have layers. He's like, I don't give a fuck what most people like. And Donkey does not get the point. Because he's like,
he gets the point. I think he gets the point, but he just wants to be like, There's better metaphors here, Shrek.
No, but he continues along the line of, but you know what else most people like? Parfait. And look, parfait's nice, but it's not as good as Donkey is like touting it to be.
Anyone else get distracted at the fact that Shrek is defining all ogres like himself? He starts to sound really egotistical at this point.
I
Like he
mean,
knows all ogres. He starts making generalizations about them.
Wouldn't he know better than you?
Better than me, sure. But
Yeah,
I'm sure
all
there
right,
are
there
other
you go.
ogres out there who might disagree.
Parfait's good, but it's not that good. Like he keeps like railing on about Parfait.
I'm ambivalent towards parfait. It's more of a weird thing to say. It's not like a delightfully odd word. It's still tasty. I just don't like the word.
Fair enough, because it's not perfect. So cue the shortest walking montage I think I've ever seen.
To the Proclaimer song that no one's ever heard before this movie.
And I just didn't pay any notice to the song because I was too busy being distracted by Donkey pissing out the campfire in the morning. He just raises his legs and pisses out the I'd never noticed that before. I was just like, what the? This isn't a kid's movie. Just straight up donkey piss.
Donkey is man. Man put out fire by peeing.
Don't get invited back.
Yeah, Donkey's not getting invited back to the barbecue.
Exactly.
Listen to our Friends episode if you don't get the reference. So very soon they're at a very menacing mountain with swirling dark clouds above, and as they climb the mountain, Donkey thinks that Shrek farted.
Another fart joke.
It's like, listen, Donkey, if it were me, you'd be dead.
Which has me wondering why Shrek has not been intentionally farting this whole time. If he hates Donkey that much.
But he's not a murderer. Actually, he is. I
Yes, he
take
is.
that back.
Yes,
I
he
take that back.
absolutely is.
He is a murderer. He's a murderer, and we're going to see him murder something later.
He just doesn't do it wantonly with no cause.
It's true.
He's a likable serial killer.
Most of them are.
It's true. That's how Ted Bundy got all his victims.
It's like, yeah, they tend to be very charismatic, actually.
Only the ones we hear about.
Well, you can come to our group night. I mean, never mind. Book club. Book club.
We read serialized books. And we kill it while we're doing it.
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
really good
that's it.
serialized book readers.
Yes.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
been killing 80s, 90s, and early 2000s movies for the last year, so
Yep.
should have seen it coming.
So hey, they found the castle, but they have to cross a rickety rope bridge over a pit of lava to get there, and Donkey is scared shitless.
After another real estate joke by Shrek.
Yeah, one that I didn't find funny, and I think Donkey didn't laugh, and I don't think we're supposed to laugh. He's like, it's big, but look at the location. And it's like, cool, bro. Cool.
There's a lot of real estate references in this movie. I do actually like Donkey's line, when Shrek's like, you can't tell me you're afraid of heights. And he says, no, I'm just a little uncomfortable on a rickety bridge over a lake of molten lava.
That would concern me as well if I had to cross something like that.
Yeah, no, for me, it's more heights. I don't care what the bridge is over. I would not want to be crossing this thing.
My point is that Donkey's not cowardly. He's just a human being. Well, a donkey, but
No, he's
with
not. He's
human
an
traits.
ass.
As they end up going over the bridge, Shrek is such an asshole when they get to halfway through. He basically turns into everyone's asshole sibling and does this, okay, do it, and then basically terrifies Donkey to the other side.
Yeah, that's what he does, because Donkey gets freaked out because Shrek tells him, look, I'll be right behind you. Don't look down. And one of the slats gives way and Donkey ends up looking down. He's like, Shrek, I'm looking down. And he wants to go back to the safe half, even though, they're halfway through. He wants to go back to the safe part. And that's when Shrek does the bad sibling thing and rocks the bridge.
And my note is, here the rickety bridge snaps because Shrek is a moron and they both die. Very weird ending.
It's not going to be the only time they die at the castle. Yeah, so eventually, Doggy's freaking out and he's like, doesn't realize that he's backed up all the way to the other side. So there was method in Shrek's dickness.
Yeah, that's the basis of the, it's like, oh, you were an asshole. You treated me like shit. Blah, blah. Yeah, and you came out better because of it. Like, Donkey should be grateful for this.
My note to this is that Donkey's gone from one abusive relationship to another, and we're about to get to the third.
God, we are. Yeah, Donkey is so willing to forgive because as soon as he realized that he's safe on the other side, and like Shrek was doing this on purpose. Oh, and Shrek says, that'll do, Donkey. That'll do.
Babe reference.
That he does.
Condescendingly pats him on the cheek. Donkey's just like, cool. Completely forgives him, just lets it go, and Off they go. So they walk through the abandoned castle, and they're encountering all the skeletons of the knights that failed to rescue the princess before.
More dismembered legs. This time it's human.
This is gleefully dark. Love it.
I don't know if you could do this these days. You should be able to, though.
Fucking kids these days.
Fucking parents these days who like grew
Yeah,
up with this
seriously.
shit and then won't let their kids watch it. So Donkey bumps into one of the skeletons and accidentally gets the helmet on his head, and Shrek takes it from him and some other pieces of armor. Tells Donkey to go find some stairs because the princess will be in the highest room in the tallest tower. Callback. And meanwhile, Shrek is gonna go find the dragon. He's like, you go find the princess, I'll go find the dragon, meet back here. But Donkey's the one that finds the dragon.
Right? Godzilla eye moment. Or Gojira eye moment. I mean, Godzilla eye moment.
It is not Gojira. Go fuck yourself.
It's go fuck yourself.
No one called me a moron. I'm actually very disappointed.
Yeah, it's the eyeball moment from Godzilla, and cue a dragon chase out into a courtyard right under the tower. Shrek tries to grab the dragon by the tail, which is always a good move, and gets launched up into the tower. So this leaves Donkey gets trapped on a bridge, and the dragon slaps away at either side until he's kind of just on this one column, trapped, and he starts to try and bullshit his way out of being a midnight snack.
And winds up flirting with the dragon. Who's into this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we find out that, hey, this is actually a girl dragon, and you know that because of the lipstick and the eyelashes.
Yes! Yes, I am so curious about this dragon's makeup habits. What does she use? Where does it come from? How is there that much of it? And who is she prettying up for?
Herself, okay. She doesn't need a man to get gussied up for.
I don't see any mirrors.
It's true.
Felonious probably punched them all.
The shiny reflection of the lava?
Dragons have lava vision? I don't know.
I do know that lava looks a hell of a lot better than the explosions in Deep Blue Sea and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I can say that much.
I mean, that's not a hard bar to clear. But yeah, so she comes into the light. We see she's a lady dragon. And so, yeah, Donkey starts turning on the charm like, ooh, what big teeth you have and those feminine wiles. And the dragon blows a heart-shaped smoke ring around Donkey to kind of signal her intentions. And Donkey's like, oh, no, 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 no. I am not looking for a physical relationship. I'm not, I'm asthmatic. This is never going to work out. And she just picks him up by the tail and takes him inside the castle to sexually assault him. That's not a joke. You will find out later.
No, that is absolutely what happens in this movie.
Well, before we get there, we got to return to Shrek, who's in Fiona's room, in the highest room in the tallest tower. He dusts himself off, and he's kind of facing away from the bed where Fiona is. And Fiona's like, "Oh shit, now's my time to shine." Gets her, pats herself down to straighten out her dress.
Yeah, Fiona knows her tropes and cliches, man. She has been waiting for this for her whole life, basically.
So she's over romanticized it in her head.
Absolutely. She would be on Bridezilla's. She has everything worked out of how this rescue should go and when they have their true love kiss and what the wedding's going to be like. Yeah, she's got it all worked out.
But yeah, Shrek just shakes her awake and says he's got to save his ass.
Pretty much. Yeah, because it's such a great moment because all this angelic music plays and you're just, the kind of thing where before the romantic kiss would happen. And
Wake up!
Wake up! And she's like, hey, brave knights, is this our first meeting? You wanna do something romantic? Nope, we gotta get out of here. And
he's just like, no, lady, I got a job to do. Come on.
My note here in all caps is John. That is my note.
You're
Just
not wrong. You're not wrong.
So yeah, like they're running down the stairs, and the goddamn entitlement from this chick. Like she's just like, "Hey, what? This is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be romantic. You know, I want a romantic gesture. How about a poem? A sonnet, a limerick?"
There once was a man from Nantucket.
And eventually she's like, "All right, just fuck it, your name, just your name. But give me your name, and I will let that be the thing." He's like, "My name is Shrek." "All right, Sir Shrek. Well, as a noble gesture," like she gives him her hanky.
And he's just like, thanks, and wipes his brow and hands it back. It's like super dirty and soiled.
It's amazing. And finds out that he hasn't slain the dragon because that's how it's supposed to go. And this is where the entitlement gets fucking bloodthirsty and like sociopathic.
All the other knights ran in and bravely faced the dragon. He's like, yeah, and they all got burned to a fucking crisp.
He says, pointing to the charred remains of knights who have come before him.
And you have like the silhouette of where they got burned because that's the non-scorched part of the wall.
Yes, it's
Like a reverse
amazing.
shadow happening.
Yeah, and she doesn't give a fuck because it's
No,
like that's not the. She's
no.
like, well, that's not the point. It's like, no, lady, that's the entire point.
Yeah, because in her mind, they obviously weren't her true love, so they weren't important enough. Whoever slays the dragon and rescues her, that is the one.
I love this visual gag that comes in now because they're now in a room with a giant cauldron and a giant book open up to a recipe for nightly treats. So the dragon clearly has like a cookbook for nights and shows like the choice cuts.
That's because she's
Like
a good woman and knows her places in the kitchen.
the makeup and the cooking is to attract a man. Yes, that is what the dragon is trying to do.
For eating later, yes. You gotta lure him in. It's that charismatic serial killer thing we were talking about earlier.
And so he starts moving towards a door, and Fiona says to him, "Hey, no, the exit's over there." And he's like, "Well, I got to save my ass."
That's how they got it in.
That's how they got it in.
That's how they got the first one in.
And so she's like, "What kind of knight are you?" And as he goes through the door, he turns back to her, gives a tip of the old helmet, and says, "One of a kind." So Shrek walks in on the dragon sexually assaulting donkey on her dragon's horde. Holy
Yes.
fucking shit.
And Donkey is basically trying to pull a no means no.
Yep. No means no, dragon. And I will point out that this is probably the first selfless thing that Shrek has done all movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's so intent on saving Donkey, to be honest. I don't get it.
No, yeah, he could have just run off with Fiona, got his swamp back, and end of story, but I guess he feels some sort of
I mean, to make the
allegiance.
character likable for the audience, I guess.
Yeah. So getting back to Donkey, he's like, "Look, I'm not ready for a physical relationship. This is not a good time for me." And then she just is like not listening, lights a chandelier above them, pin in that chandelier, and then starts giving him a fucking blowjob, I think is the implication, because he says, "That's my tail. That's my personal tail. You're gonna rip it off. I do not give permission to fucked." Between this and 40 Days and 40 Nights was just like men getting raped a joke in the early 2000s.
I believe what you're referring to is known as fun for the whole family. Thank you very much.
Oh god, was this revenge for all like the rape jokes in the 80s towards women? Like what the fuck is this shit? Early 2000s? You're fucked up. Oh god.
It's called equality.
Oh,
We're not going to change shitty behavior and make ourselves better. We're just going to, spread the love around, so to speak.
Yeah, we're gonna distribute the shittiness equally. Gotta love humanity. Anyways, so Shrek comes down on the spool chain that's attached to the chandelier, dislodges Donkey out of the coiled tail of the dragon just as she's coming down to give him a smooch, but inadvertently kisses Shrek's ass. Not super happy about this, as you might imagine. So the dragon gets very angry. The chandelier falls on the dragon's neck, so it's kind of like a collar around her neck. and snags the princess on the way out, slides down a column. And is the implication here, because there's kind of a gap in the column between one portion of the column to the other, this like collapsed column that's at an angle, are they implying that Shrek snagged his balls
Yes.
on the way down? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, because he goes like, oh. Yeah, so Shrek snags his balls. It's confirmed now. And runs out. So now they're in this giant hall with all these columns, and there's this Scooby-Doo-esque running around the chain getting, crisscrossed amongst all these columns.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the chain to run out and for it to do that cartoony, like, snap to a stop.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet
No,
because
it doesn't happen, though. That's my point. Like, it just to get tangled up and that's it. Like, that's how they would escape.
but it's not even that yet. There's one more element to the puzzle because Shrek sends Donkey and Fiona out and he takes a sword he finds and he pins it in the chain, and that's supposed to anchor the whole thing.
And it's not. And yeah, they're gonna die
Oh, they're absolutely gonna
because
die.
it's a small sword, and a dragon is clearly more powerful than a small sword.
Clearly
Yeah.
not. The evidence is right there. It just showed you.
So slow-mo chase down a hallway with Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey. And this is a reference to the worst parts of Crash Bandicoot games, the ones where you've got to like run away from a boulder towards you. Those were the worst levels and got triggered from this.
No, the worst ones are when you're going along the thin, broken suspension bridge. Those are the fucking worst. You got to get very precise with your platform.
Well, they're going to need to get very precise with their platforming here because they run out across the rickety bridge, and flame from the dragons burns off the anchors at the end that's hooked to the castle side. They fall against the wall like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, and it looks like the dragon might have them. It's going to fly out to get them.
Well, the dragon will have them because that sword is not going to hold her back.
But again, clearly it does. First, it's ogre personalities. Now you are grossly misrepresenting the strength of dragons. You gotta slow your roll, man.
Never.
So yeah, it gets yoinked back, so can't fly past the edge of the cliff. And that's when the dragon just shot them with fire, and the movie ended here because they were definitely within fire breath range.
Yeah,
That
no
too.
shit. What was
And
with this whole
helpless.
giving up? And it looks like the dragon kind of lets herself die because she's hovering there for a bit and then just stops flapping her wings and falls out of frame.
Has a little cry. Yeah, it's almost
Yeah.
like her contract says like she can't kill anyone past a certain point. Like there's union rules or something.
Dragon Union.
It's like, yeah, I did not agree to kill anyone past the bounds.
Once
of
you make it to the
castle.
other side of the fire lake, you are safe.
Yeah, they don't pay me enough to kill anyone past there. So they come down the mountain, and Fiona wants Shrek to take off his helmet so they can have a kiss. And Shrek's like, well, that wasn't in the job description. And Donkey's like, well, maybe it's a perk, She tells them, look, this is how it's all supposed to be. It's supposed to end with true love's first kiss. And Shrek and Donkey just start laughing as they're like, oh,
yes, they do.
Wait, do you think Shrek's your
you
true
think
love?
Shrek-
Amazing. She just like yells at them after losing her patience. Like, he eventually relents and takes his helmet off.
Oh, another wonderful me moment where she's begging him and he's like, no, seriously, you don't want me to do this. Usually it's I have some weird twisted thought and I start laughing and I tell people they don't want to know and they won't stop fucking prying. And then when I tell them, they get mad because now they're offended or grossed out or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Like,
on them. They kept
you
pushing.
had 12 fucking warnings.
Yeah, so she's very disappointed that he's an ogre, and he says, well, what were you expecting, Prince Charming? And she's like, well, fucking yeah, I was expecting Prince Charming. This is not how this was all supposed to happen. She was not supposed to be with an ogre.
Yeah, it's the rules.
Ogerism. Ogerist.
Oh, yes?
Just not Prince Charming is the problem. But we'll learn a little bit more about why she's upset about the whole ogre thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna get there. But he tells her that, look, I didn't come to rescue you for me. I came to rescue you for this guy called Lord Farquaad. He wants to marry you, and she's like a complete brat now because she's walks away in a huff. Is like, well, Tell Lord Farquaad that if he wants to rescue me, he's got to come here himself.
And actually, this is where Shrek gets one of the best lines of the movie, because he says, "Hey, I'm no one's messenger boy. I'm a delivery
I'm a
boy."
delivery boy.
Brilliant.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And then the beautiful thing where he just picks her up and a beautiful time-lapse visual gag where she's like squirming and being all bratish on his back, and then just hours later where she's just gotten bored.
Yeah, she's just given up. She's resigned herself to being slung over Shrek's shoulder. So, question for you guys. Why is Donkey asking Fiona how to let a dragon that sexually assaulted him down easy, given that he's likely to never see again? Also, she sexually assaulted him and owes her nothing?
He's drawn to abusive relationships.
I think so, yeah. He represses his pain and remains optimistic.
And her response to this, well, you just gotta tell her that she's not your true love. And does it work? Does it work?
You know, from far too much experience.
We know from watching the rest of the movie.
They stop by I guess a lake or a river, so Shrek can finally wash his face off. And she asks what kind of a man Lord Farquaad is, and
Short
Shrek and
jokes.
so many short jokes.
Yeah, I just have Tyrion Lannister here about how everyone who makes a dwarf joke thinks they're the only person who's ever made a dwarf joke.
So like short and statue, people generally don't think highly of him. It's all 20 years ago was so much meaner than today. You can't be this mean anymore. And so their original plan was to walk through the night, but Fiona starts freaking out because the sun's going down and demands that they make camp right now. And again, don't you just love her? Don't you just hope she finds her Prince Charming and has a happy ending?
And why would Shrek care about this?
I'm fine with her ending up with a fuckwad, to be honest.
I mean, Shrek didn't care about her whining before. Why does he care about her whining now?
Because sometimes you just want it to stop, man.
Yeah, she's worn him down. Exactly. She's worn him down. And he's like, fuck, all right, Jesus, if you'll stop yelling at me, I will find a campsite.
I relate way too easily with this movie.
So bitchy whining does work. That's a moral we should take from this.
I mean, have you looked at the world lately? It's kind of true. It's kind of true. And so Shrek finds like a cave on a ledge, and he rolls a boulder away from the entrance of the cave. And she's like, "Okay, cool, thanks. I'm gonna go to bed now." Grabs a big sheet of bark from a nearby tree as a door, and
And I'd have been like, oh, fuck that. I'll just push the stone back over this shit. See you in the morning.
well, you say that because after she rejects Donkey's offer to read her a bedtime story.
We
What
get a
the fuck, anyway?
casual peeping Tom joke is casual.
What casual peeping Tom joke?
That he's basically moving a boulder to look at her while she undresses.
No, he makes a joke about rolling the boulder just to like leave her in there.
Oh, I thought he was trying to peep at her.
No, because she put the plank of wood up for a door.
Yeah, and because she yelled at Donkey, he's like, "Good night, everyone." He's like, "Hey, princess, you wanted me to come in there and read your story?" I said good night. And because of that, Shrek starts rolling the boulder to like seal her in there, and Donkey gives him a look like, "What the fuck?" And so Shrek's like, "Come on, I was joking. I was just joking." Like, dude.
Yeah, sure he was.
He was not
Sure he
joking.
was.
The narrator, he was not joking. So that night, Shrek and Donkey do some rock-a-ledge stargazing. Shrek starts telling stories about ochre constellations, including the story of Bloodnut the Flatulent.
More fart jokes.
More fart jokes.
Yeah, but also the name Bloodnut?
Audience, if you have a blood nut, please see a doctor. See it right now. Stop listening to this episode and go to the hospital.
Especially if it makes everything taste like fish. Which episode was that from?
There's been so many at this point.
Okay.
We've done so many episodes.
No, it was there was specifically something Jules had said about like the flavor. I'm like, if your nuts make something taste like fish,
So he's like, "Look, there's Bloodnut. There's the villagers running away from his awful stench." And Donkey just can't see. He's like, I just see little holes in the sky."
and Pumbaa, to you everything is gas.
And Shrek says to Donkey, look, sometimes things are more than they appear. Hint, hint, like me, motherfucker, like one of the central themes of the movie we're in.
But also a little hint, hint as to what's about to, what we'll eventually learn with Fiona as well.
True. So Donkey asks Shrek, hey, so what are we going to do with our swamp when we get back? And Shrek's like, our swamp?
Our swamp?
It's like, yo, dude, there is no we, all right? That is my swamp. Like, we're going to go do this quest, and then we are going our separate ways.
He has a plan like Donald Trump. He wants to build a wall around his land.
And he's going to make the fairy tale creatures pay for it. Donkey's sad for like 20 seconds, like, oh, you cut me real deep, Shrek, cut me real deep. And then just like a light switch goes back to happy-go-lucky Donkey. He's like, hey, so what's with the shutting people out? I think this wall is so that you can cut yourself off from everyone.
And he's like, yeah, no shit. Way to get on the same page for once.
Oh, you're finally realizing that I might not like to be around other people. Fucking hell, welcome to the movie, Donkey.
Jesus Christ. Story of my life.
Sorry we ruined your life, John. He's like, what's your problem, man? And Shrek says, look, I'm not the one with the problem. Everyone else has a problem. Every time people see me, they're like, there's a great big stupid ugly ogre, and fuck that. And then definitely not Ogre Fiona peeks out from the cave to have a little listen in at this moment. And Donkey's like, hey man, I didn't think you were a big stupid ugly ogre. And Shrek's like, I know. And then Donkey asks Shrek if there are any donkey constellations. So Shrek's got to pull some stuff out of his ass. He's like, oh yeah, over there, that's Gabby, the small and annoying.
And again, Donkey fails at taking hints.
He does. And he's like, what about that one? He's like, that's the moon, dude.
This is a big ass Bruce Almighty moon.
All right, so we're gonna go take a little break to find some more donkey constellations, and when we come back, we're gonna break down the rest of Shrek.
I'm sorry, Donkey. I guess I am just a big, selfish, stupid ogre. Can you forgive me?
You know what? No.
What's that?
I've just been thinking about all the horrible things you've done to me over this past few weeks, and most of it's pretty unforgivable.
Like what?
Trying to scare me when I was clearly on the run for some medieval torture.
That's in the past.
Catapulting me away with a tree.
I didn't see you back there. I was so into being touched by Fiona. It's totally understandable and not me being neglectful to the one friend that I have.
And leaving me to get molested by a dragon is just wrong. It's wrong, Shrek.
I did come back for you, though.
Not until the abuse became so severe that now I'm stuck in a toxic relationship with her. I'm probably gonna die.
Probably. I think I see your point.
Okay, so I get half your swamp, and I'll never forgive you.
Deal. And now, just to make everything okay, I'm gonna make a fart joke.
No, Shrek, just no. It's lazy comedy. That wasn't a fart joke. That was a real fart. Oh my god. So bad.
All right, this is horse shit. There is no reason for Shrek to consider Donkey a friend or make any concessions about the swamp. Fuck this sketch. Fuck you both.
That's a deal.
And we're back. It's nighttime in Lord Fuckwad's room. We kind of come in through the window. We see that his marriage outfit and wedding dress for Fiona ready. And we also get a sweeping shot of the mama bear who's been turned into...
Mama Bear rug.
Yes, Mama Bear has been turned into a literal bear rug. Lord Fuckwad is lying in his bed. He's got his shirt off. He's drinking a martini. And he's making a very uncomfortable magic mirror show him the picture of Fiona on repeat.
Well, my note here is also Farquaad's leopard print circular bed confirms he's a 60s porn producer. And shares characteristics with Shrek because he also enjoys a martini.
Mm-hmm.
He does enjoy a martini. No eyeballs in this one, just regular olives.
So, quick question. When you press the button, does the bed rotate or shake?
Depends which servants are available to make the bed move. So he sees Fiona and gives like an oh yeah kind of sound, and he gives a cheeky look around the room, and he definitely jerked off after we cut away, right? Like he absolutely masturbated to that
Yeah.
picture of Fiona, and fucking Magic Mirror had to watch that.
Like Jules was mentioning with implications, this isn't the first time he's done that. I think it's pretty safe to say.
No, he's just been whacking it ever since he saw the picture.
Whacking it in San Diego. I can't get that song out of my head now.
So good.
Jacking it in San
What?
Diego.
Who is
Jacking
this
it,
by?
jacking it, jacking it. in
South
San
Park,
Diego.
guys. This was around the Koji no Komi 2012. It's a South Park episode where
I don't remember that one.
so early the next morning, Fiona leaves a sleeping donkey and Shrek to go be a Disney princess in the woods.
Yes.
With another great turn.
Yep, because she has an epic singing duet with a blue bird that has a nest of eggs.
This is the Sleeping Beauty sequence where she starts singing with the birds in the forest, except this bird ends up singing so much that for no reason it explodes.
No, it explodes because Fiona sings such a high note, it causes the bird to explode, leaving just like its feet and legs like grasping the branch.
And she then eats her babies.
Yeah, murders the bird and then murders the babies.
This is how Fiona gets breakfast.
Circle of life.
Are we supposed to like her yet? Are we supposed to be rooting for her yet?
I'm starting
'Cause-
to.
Okay, well that was a dumb question with John here.
And yeah, if these aren't chicken eggs, I don't think you get yolks. I'm pretty sure you get dead birds in your
It
eggs.
depends on how far along they are.
Yeah, they're probably freshly laid eggs, and that's how you get the yolk. Because she goes back to the cave and she sets up a rock over a fire to fry them.
Chicken legs. Chicken eggs eventually develop chicks within them. The yolk is part of anyway.
And the smell of breakfast wakes up Donkey and Shrek, and she's like, "Hey, I've been kind of a bitch up until now, so here's some eggs to make up for that."
We've got a big day ahead of us cliche, which is kind of annoying.
Well, we got a big day ahead of us, and then Shrek and Donkey give each other kind of a knowing look and giggle because Lord Farquaad is not big.
Big day.
More like a short day, am I right? So the three musketeers are now walking through the forest. Well, I'm calling Fiona, Shrek, and Donkey the three musketeers. There's not actually the three musketeers.
Well, no, because there were four if you count D'Artagnan.
So Shrek belches, and Donkey's like, dude, not in front of the princess, but then she belches, so they're more alike than they thought. Aww.
Well, her method of getting breakfast is not too far away from Shrek's.
Just casually murdering things, yeah.
Or fuckwad or dragon. I mean, how many severed sets of legs do we need to have in this movie?
It's true,
Seriously.
The tally is really high at this point.
Really high. The director had something with legs.
But not in a Tarantino way.
I was about to say, is our severed legs this director's Quentin Tarantino thing?
It's one step beyond Tarantino. Yeesh.
Like, there's a bit of necrophilia on top of it. So yeah, that's when Fiona gets snatched by a French Robin Hood.
Sacrilege. I'm sorry. It was bad enough that we had an American one after Prince of Thieves. It just...
Oh my god! That's what Nick and I were talking about, which put us on to Sean Connery, how we need to do that movie.
Yeah, we started talking
Before
about
you
how we
came
need to
back
do that
on the
movie
break,
on the
we were
break.
talking about how we need to do that movie. Like, how the fuck did Brian Blessed have kids that sound like Kevin Costner and Christian Slater? I just love that you brought that up without hearing our conversation. That's fantastic.
Yeah, my question is, why is an English folk hero French in this movie?
Why is Merry Men also French?
They're all French.
Because
so
you
they-
know that them being merry means they're gay, so of course they're Frenchies.
And also because they do musical theater for them, kind of like singing and dancing about their spiel. My note here is this is not a Robin Hood Men in Tights ripoff, I swear.
Oh god,
Nope,
yeah.
totally not.
Manly men.
They sing about their spiel, we rob from the rich, we give to the poor, and we're not a big fan of monsters. Kind of looking at Shrek. Eventually, Fiona's like done with this shit, and she just fucking fly kicks Robin Hood in the head. He cracked his skull against a rock and then bled out and died. It was really fucking morbid. I didn't remember that.
And I gotta say, Matrix effects are not as impressive whenever the entire movie is generated by a computer.
Right, but it's obligatory in the early 2000s to make a Matrix reference,
Yeah.
because she's doing this as she's beating up the other merry men who start attacking her.
At least they didn't do the lean bullet dodge, because that's what almost
Yeah.
everyone did. They at least did the freeze in the air, spin the camera, and then resume action with the kick. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that with Osmosis Jones as well. I mean, the thing was, is back in the day, this wasn't a cliche just yet. But looking back now, the Matrix reference just doesn't age very well.
It's still kind of fun because they do the spin around thing and everything's frozen except
She straightens her
Fiona.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah, she straightens her hair and then she kicks two of them in the face. And Shrek's like, "Whoa, how'd you do that?" And she's trying to pass it off as like, "Oh, well, when you live by yourself in a castle, there's certain things you gotta learn." And it's like, no, you did not teach yourself fucking high level martial arts from a
Yeah,
book
no
in a castle.
shit.
I did want to say as well that she smacks Friar Tuck right through the accordion, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Yes,
And
I do. It's called slapping someone through the accordion.
yeah, so they discover that Shrek's got an arrow in his butt. Donkey starts freaking out like Shrek's gonna die. And Fido's like, "All right, listen, if you want to help out Shrek, you should go out into the woods, find some blue flowers with red thorns." You're like, "All right, blue flowers, red thorns, blue flowers, red thorns." He starts going off into the woods to look for them. And Shrek's like, "What's the flowers for?" And she replies, "Well, it's to get rid of Donkey, because he's
And
a
I
fucking
think I
annoying
kind of
asshole."
fell in love with Fiona here too.
This is where she redeems herself in
That
our
was
eyes.
brilliant. That was brilliant. Teach me your ways. I mean, there's a great joke coming up in a little bit, but it does make me sad that the blue flowers with red thorns actually exist and are very close by.
It wasn't the snipe hunt that
Yeah, you were led to believe this was going to be a snipe hunt. Yeah.
So Shrek is a total baby about getting an arrow yanked out of his ass, so Fiona has to chase him around. And yeah, she's chasing around his ass, so haha, butt chase. And then Donkey finds himself in a field full of blue flowers and red thorns. He's like, "Blue flowers, red thorns, blue flowers, red thorns. This would be so much easier if I wasn't colorblind."
Again, great joke. But just, it was an obvious snipe hunt thing, and that wasn't really a thing. Anyway.
But apparently, like, somewhat scientifically accurate, because apparently, I mean, this is from the most casual of Google searches, so take this with a grain of salt, listener. But apparently, donkeys are dichromatic, so they
Okay.
can't see, I think, red. So they are somewhat colorblind, whereas we're trichromatic. We can perceive like three colors, and they get, kind of like how
Yeah,
those
and
three
then
color
those
project. Yeah.
combine in the spectrum that we see. Yeah.
But then he hears Shrek screaming and he just grabs a bunch of whatever the hell's near him, which happens to be blue flowers with red thorns, and runs back. Doesn't get poked with the thorns, by the way. He just knows how to deal with them. Comes back to find Fiona's accidentally fallen on top of Shrek's, which kind of looks like they were in a romantic embrace. And he's like, "Guys, if you wanted to be alone, you could have just asked me."
Yeah, except we know that clearly would not work. Donkey has been told to fuck off almost this entire movie.
He put it by him like, "Cool, cool, cool. Can I watch?"
Yeah, no shit. Or he'd just keep rambling. All right, well, I mean, you want some alone time. I understand that. You got to have your alone time, just the two of you. I'm just not going to be here for part of it. Just, he's going to go on for another 20 minutes about that shit.
Yeah, so Shrek's like, "No, that is not what's happening here. Like, we're not fooling around. It's the last thing on my mind." And Fiona takes this moment of Shrek being distracted to yank the arrow out of his ass.
If you know what he means.
there's no blood, so when Donkey faints from the blood, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he fades.
Ogre blood is invisible, but has a very distinctive smell.
Leads to a cursed existence.
Well, if you're desperate enough to drink it, damn right you're getting cursed.
That was Voldemort's plan B instead of unicorns. Ogre butt blood.
Unicorn blood is so much prettier.
So now we get a donkey as a third wheel montage, because Fiona
Casual
and Shrek,
animal balloon torture as well.
Yes?
because Shrek and Fiona are They're
Enamored?
clearly like enamored. Yeah, they're kind of flirting with each other very subtly. Shrek letting go of a tree that he's like held down so they can cross a creek. Forgets about Donkey. Donkey just gets launched.
I don't think he was forgetful. I think that was orchestrated.
And then this is crazy. Like Fiona sees a spider's web between two branches, so she snaps it off and runs around the field they're in, like sticking a bunch of
Well, you
bugs
see
that
a
are
bunch
flying.
of bugs that are kind of like swarming around him, so there's a nuisance. Just somehow this is cotton candy for Shrek?
Yeah, how did she know that? Because she gives it to him like she knows it's cotton candy for him.
Well, the movie hasn't shown us yet, but she's got her ogre side.
Yeah, so much so that after he takes it and starts eating it, she licks her fingers.
Yeah, this movie's smarter than you thought.
I never said it was dumb.
Still, it's just smarter.
And then, as Jules mentioned, there's very casual frog and snake balloons here.
Yeah, we now have tune physics, finally.
Yeah, this is crazy. So apparently Fiona and Shrek both exhale helium because Shrek picks up a frog and blows it up into a balloon. Fiona picks up a snake, blows it up like a balloon and makes it into a balloon animal, and they give it to each other and they hold it until they get bored of it. And then they just release the frog and snake to fly higher into the air to their deaths.
Yeah, I took it as more of very, very hot breath, and they just kind of like cooked from the inside.
These poor woodland creatures just getting murdered for no reason.
Animal torture is very prevalent in this movie.
Yeah.
Once again, you guys talking about things happening for no reason. Clearly, this is for romance.
Oh, I didn't say it was for no reason.
Well, Nick did this time. We argued about the whole no reason thing on another episode. But yeah, there is a reason. It's for romance. And how else do you show your appreciation for someone other than murdering small animals?
Oh God, I don't know, John. Now
You've
that
been
you
doing
say
romance
that,
wrong all this
I've been
time.
clearly. There's a
Yeah.
reason why I'm single. There's a
There's
reason
so
why I'm
many
single.
dating apps that that had listed what is my romance language, and I just wish someone would put torturing small woodland creatures. There's going to be someone who replies to that.
I'm on
Hey, Jules,
ogresonly.com.
Hey, Jules, which small animal did you murder to get your girlfriend?
Oh, several ants.
Baby pangolin, because they are the most adorable.
So they get to the outskirts of Duloc, but Fiona's not quite ready to leave Shrek yet for Lord Fuckwad. So she lies about Donkey not looking so good as an excuse to spend one more night with them. She's like, "Oh yeah, Donkey, you look bad." He's like, "No, man, I feel fine." He's like, "Yeah, and that's when it gets you. That comes out of nowhere, then you're dead."
A million neuroses were born.
And Shrek gets like sees what she's doing. He's like, "Oh yeah, Donkey. Wow, yeah. Let's like just chill here for a bit." And then Donkey starts freaking out because he's a hypochondriac. He's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna." He's like, "No, no, no. We'll make you some tea. It'll be fine." It's like, I think I need a hug.
He doesn't get one because, as we've mentioned before, he's just always drawn to he's always drawn to abusive relationships, which means zero affection, all pain.
He's also clearly incredibly ill, and they don't want to catch it.
Yeah, because they don't invite him to dinner that night.
Fuck no.
Yeah, Shrek makes him and Sophia. That's God. You keep calling her Sophia. Fiona. Yeah, he only makes rotisserie weed rats for him and Fiona. There's no I mean, I don't think donkeys eat weed rats, but
As delicious as these things apparently are, maybe he'd have gone for it though. Weed rat is apparently the most incredible thing you've ever tasted in your goddamn life.
yeah, Fiona's really digging these roasted rats. Shrek starts bragging about how delicious everything he makes is. Like, "Oh yeah, I make a pretty mean weed rat stew and eyeball tartare and all these like disgusting things that sound delicious." And so fucking Fiona, god damn it, why do I keep calling her Sophia? And he's like, "Hey, after you get married, you come by the swamp anytime. I'll cook for you." And she's like, "Yeah, I'd like that." And so it looks like Shrek might finally like tell her how he feels about her, but then chickens out at the last second. Actually, are you gonna finish that last weed rat? And while giving him the weed rat, their hands touch, and then they kind of start holding hands, and they start going in for the kiss, and then they get cock blocked by Donkey.
This is why we didn't invite you to dinner.
It'd be more ass blocked, wouldn't it?
It's true. Ass blocked because he's a donkey. And he blocked him.
But he's
John's
not blocking
expression.
the ass.
But he is the ass that is doing the blocking. It still works, I think. And he points out that, hey, don't you guys think that this sunset is just super romantic right now? And so Fiona's like, oh, fuck, sunset.
So Fiona,
God damn it. Why?
he merged them together that time.
Oh, Fiona, god damn it. Fiona's like, oh, fuck, sunset. Shit, I gotta get inside. Goes into a nearby abandoned windmill for the night. After she does, Donkey's like, yo, Shrek, you and Fiona obviously dig each other. Like, just go in there and tell her, you fucking coward. And Shrek's like, no, I don't like her. But anyway, even if I did, I'm an ogre and she's a princess. And that's like, I don't know. That'll never work.
Yeah, only ugly people can be with ugly people, and only attractive people with attractive people.
That is a fact.
Exactly.
Yeah, personality means nothing.
Or wealth.
Nope.
Rich, ugly people marry hot, not as rich people all the time. It's called pulling an Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah, but it's not true love. Your true love has to have comparable aesthetics.
Has to be exactly the same as the other person, because that's going to be incredibly boring and egotistical. Why would you want to date yourself?
Well, we allow differences for height.
I mean, when you're as tall as Jules and I, you have to. So, yeah, Shrek storms off to have a sad in the woods and tells Donkey he's going to go get some firewood, even though there's like a big ass pile of firewood already there by the campsite. Shrek finds a clearing and looks forlornly at Duloc while the sun goes down. Then Donkey, after, sun goes down, goes into the windmill because the plot needs him to.
Yes, this is absolutely a 4 reasons moment.
Well, no, he is basically, he wants to talk to her because he's Shrek's friend and wants to tell her about Shrek. He's trying to facilitate.
All right.
You are correct. It just did feel like because the plot needs him to, but you are right. Donkey's kind of spooked because it's very dark and scary inside. And then Fiona crashes through a wooden walkway, which is deteriorated. And Donkey freaks out because she's an ogre now and thinks that Shrek has eaten Fiona. And eventually...
No, thinks an ogre has eaten Fiona.
Got it. Okay.
Not Shrek.
Yeah, he's not freaked out by Shrek. He's just like, oh shit, a monster ate Fiona, because she's like, no, this is me. So he's yelling like
inside this
at
body.
the stomach. Like that's
like, oh my god, you ate the princess.
I just want to know how the spell affects her clothing like that. It's remarkable. Because it's not just this dress. It happens with her wedding gown later.
Yeah, the dress has expanded to fit her new form.
Mm-hmm.
She does not pull a Hulk. And so eventually Donkey calms down and accepts that Fiona is an ogre, and Fiona explains that a witch put a curse on her, and she looks this way every night, and the only way that the curse can be broken is by true love's first kiss, so she can take love's true form. Pin in that.
Why do you want to steal the true form from love itself?
I don't know, man. That's the quest the DM gave. So, and that's why she needs to marry Lord Fuckwad before the sun goes down, so she can, be a human and stay a human.
Yes, so that he won't be repulsed by her, which is, the definition of true love.
Exactly.
I have 2 things to bring up here. 1, marrying Farquaad doesn't do shit. Why doesn't she just kiss the guy? 2, princess and ugly don't go together. In a world where we've clearly seen all the princesses are canon and in this world, and how much time she spent in the tower reading her own story, she will have read about other princesses too, and she would also know about Beauty and the Beast. And princess and ugly do go together.
Belle's not a princess.
Oh, true. Touche. But I stand by the why not just kiss Farquaad instead of marrying him.
Yep, I'll grant you that one.
Yep. That is definitely a plot hole. So Donkey's like, hey, maybe you and Shrek should get together. You have so much in common. Like, he's ugly, you're ugly, you like belching. It's a match made in heaven. And so outside, Shrek has come back with a sunflower, and he's like practicing trying to speak to Fiona. Exactly how I would try to psych myself up to talk to girls as a teenager. So he's definitely a few years behind.
Well, he's been isolated. Come on, he's clearly
Yeah, it's not like he's had much practice. Not like he's had much practice in these matters.
No, yeah. It's like literally on the level of I saw this sunflower and it's pretty and you're pretty, so I thought you'd like the sunflower.
No,
It's
no.
like-
This is not on the level of that. That is literally what he says.
Yeah.
so it is also technically on the level.
The only thing he's kissed is his keep out signs. That is
that is
That
true. He
is
was making a
true. Yes.
he made a keep outside at the beginning of the movie to give it a big old smooch. He's like, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to tell her how I feel. And then she overhears her talking to Donkey. And that's where she says, yeah, ugly and princesses don't mix and all this stuff. And she's, we know that the audience know that she's talking about herself. But given the snippets of what Shrek hears, he thinks that Fiona's talking shit about him. And Donkey's in on it. He feels betrayed. He drops his sunflower and storms off.
Classic misunderstanding.
It was way better done than Legally Blonde. I will give it that. Like, that was ham-fisted. This felt like, okay, it's a cliche, but they did it well.
Yeah, but I mean, how hard is it to be better than Legally Blonde?
Not hard. Not hard, and yet so many movies fail. And they only have themselves to blame.
At least there's no bend and snap.
So Fiona swears Donkey to secrecy, and he's like, look, I'm not going to tell Shrek, but you should tell Shrek, all right?
As irritating as he can be, man, Donkey really does have his moments. He's got some strong moments here and there.
Yep. He's like, what's the point of being a talking donkey if I got to keep secrets all the time?
That is a good line.
Oh, and so he starts walking out of the windmill and he's like, man, after this is over, I'm going to need some serious therapy. Look at my eye twitching and his eye.
And who is he talking to? Yes, he definitely needs therapy.
You definitely
Who the fuck
need
is
some
he
therapy.
saying that to?
Fiona sees the sunflower that Shrek dropped and she picks it up and takes it back inside the windmill with her. And so just as day is breaking, we see Fiona plucking the petals from the sunflower, being
Yeah,
like,
it's
gonna...
such a cliche, the flower petal pulling scene. Just make the damn choice
Yeah.
yourself. Why characters do that shtick is basically leaving up to fate. Make a damn choice yourself. You don't get
Well,
many.
not only that, I never understood how the character is really surprised in the outcome. Like, you couldn't tell 3 or 4 petals ago how this is going to turn out?
It's so true. It's the same with Ariel and the Little Mermaid.
Yes!
We
Yes,
know exactly how many petals you have left, so why are you disappointed with the loves me not moment?
It's like you just said, I don't tell him, and now there's 1 petal left, and now you're super surprised that,
Only
yep,
just
guess I gotta tell him.
realizing.
Yes! Jesus.
Characters don't count much in their backstories in movies. Like, none of them know math.
Not a lot of situational awareness. No.
I mean, at the very least, she's not doing he loves me not. Okay, there's a bit of a twist on it that keeps it somewhat fresh. I'm not gonna...
After ripping on Disney so well, it then actually has a Disney moment in the movie, which kind of counters it a little.
Yeah, it doesn't sit well with me either.
Anyways, the last petal says to tell him, so she's got to do what the flower says.
I gotta make a poster.
You
do
gotta
what the
do
flower
what the flower
says.
says.
And then just an
Just a-
angry sunflower just sort of pointing.
Yeah. So yeah, she runs out to tell Shrek, on the order of a flower, but the sun rises and she
On the order
turns
of a flower.
back into a human.
Yeah, if you hadn't spent all that goddamn time picking petals, could have got the message across, lady.
Yeah, and we see her actually like do it. It's the whole like sparkliness and the clouds that surround her. Like we actually watch the transformation.
But also not. Like you don't see like the morphing of size. You have the big bright glow and then it's human princess form again. I was kind of surprised. I thought you actually saw the transformation in this movie.
That must be a pain in the ass to animate on top of all the other shit they're animating.
They kind of stole the beast transformation in reverse at the climax.
Kinda, yeah. But I mean, this is ripping off all the
I
things.
say I think that was partially the point though as well.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
all the other
absolutely, yeah.
rip-offs and everything. Yeah, okay.
So Shrek comes back and he is pissed. Tells her he heard everything she said last night. He's like, she thinks he heard about her being an ogre, so she thinks he's being a dick about like not being into ogres too. That's kind of...
That I don't get.
Yeah, I understand why she is so horribly confused. And also, fuck no, Shrek. You heard a sentence and a half.
Yeah.
That hardly counts as everything.
I also want to flaw the fact that she would ever believe that her being an ogre was the factor.
Yeah, that's absurd. That's like Orson Welles late in his career being like, no fat chicks. Like, come on.
Oh my god!
It's just you can't say that, dude, because you got to look at yourself.
Bed only holds so much, Nick. Come on.
There's only so much engineering can do for you, Orson.
Seriously, late career Orson Welles, man. Anything heavier than a blow up doll would probably snap that frame.
He didn't just wear boo-boos. That was what he just ended up saying that a lot. Okay, back to the movie. So Shrek has brought Lord Fuckwad with him.
Remember, we are 90s babies, and so these insults aren't as bad, just like in Shrek.
Yeah, this is how we were raised. You can't be offended. Well, we're not done with short jokes because it turns out he's riding in on these fake legs. He looks like normal height.
And like these long fake ass armor sleeves as well. So he looks like a well proportioned human.
I totally missed the arms.
Yeah,
but okay,
the arms as well.
Yeah, pulls his arms out.
And then has one of his knights or servants or whatever like pluck him off of the horse to set him down.
Right when she says, I was just saying a short goodbye.
Ah, ah.
And so yeah, he gives Shrek the deed to his swamp that he already owned, and tells him that he cleared out the fairy tale creatures. Get out of here before I change my mind.
Which means in like a week he's absolutely gonna change his mind. At most. At most.
And so he asks Fiona to marry him, and she accepts out of she spitefully accepts this marriage proposal, like looking directly at
Yes.
Shrek walking away. And so Fiona insists that they get married before sunset. And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's," because he says, "Oh yeah, we'll get married tomorrow." She's like, "What? Why wait that long? Let's get married today before sunset." And he's like, "Oh, eager are we? Cool, we have a lot to do."
Kiss the guy, find out, move on.
Yes, I was just about to call back Jules's point. It's true love's kiss. That doesn't have to be a goddamn wedding. I mean, obviously, fuckwad's not her true love, but still.
Exactly. Does Farquaad look like the kind of guy who's not going to kiss before a wedding?
Farquaad looks like the kind of guy who would get me too'd.
I would
Today.
say, yeah, I was gonna say he'll do some kissing, but not on her lips.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. You don't even have to ask.
I knew you knew. That's why I didn't bother.
So Donkey follows Shrek and he's like, "Hey man, are you really gonna let her get away with like that?" And Shrek's like, "Yo, dude, you conspired with her and said some fucked up shit about me. So how about you fuck right off? Because I'm going back to the swamp alone." And Donkey gets sad. And now we have not Leonard Cohen singing Hallelujah during a sadness montage. Shrek goes back
It's a good
to
song.
his swamp. It's a great song.
I love this song. It's not my favorite version, but
Oh, but yeah, I will have to note that after getting out of an abusive friendship, Donkey decides to double down and get into an abusive relationship.
Yeah, and part of this montage is he goes to a river to drink, sees his abuser, and then decides to fully succumb to Stockholm syndrome and get with her. Shrek goes to his swamp. He cleans out the camp. He's putting his house back together, and he sees a sunflower on his table, and he gets upset and he chucks it into his fire. And this sunflower getting chucked into a fire animation was not good. At Fuckwad's castle, Fiona's getting fitted for her wedding dress, and she's super duper sad about it. She actually pushes down Farquaad's cake topper on the wedding cake, so he's short because their both fingers were the same height.
It's a point where she realizes perfect doesn't exist, because Farquaad's all about the perfect world when he's clearly imperfect, and
True.
it's a sort of moment where she just realizes the perfect idea that she came up with in her head doesn't exist. It's just, you're short. That's the reality of the circumstance.
Yeah, he's short and he jerks off in front of
I'll say,
sentient
yeah,
mirrors.
but the whole being short thing is not like a terrible trait.
No, but it's not
It's
perfect.
literally everything else about this guy.
Yeah, he's small he's small in like the metaphorical sense
Aside
as
from
well.
being rude
Yeah.
to ogres, she hasn't seen it.
But I think it's also like she knows deep down that she loves Shrek. She actually loves Shrek.
Yeah, that too.
Lord Farquaad's also like getting dressed up in his wedding outfit and he's super stoked. He gets the thumbs up from
Thelonious.
Thelonious. And then Shrek and Fiona have corresponding sads while eating meals at their tables.
With an empty chair at the other end.
It's so sad. So the montage ends with Shrek hearing something going on outside, so he heads out to investigate, and he sees Donkey building a wall through the swamp. And he's like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? And Donkey says, hey, I did half the work on the quest. I get half the reward, so half the swamp is mine. And Shrek's like, no, the fuck it's not.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
I kind of feel like Donkey's right, though. He did. Did do half the work.
So get him a half another swamp. That's Shrek swamp.
Yeah, I doubt Donkey's name is on the deed. You have no claim to the land. You showed up and forced your way on it in the first place. You tagged along on the quest. He's
showed him
never
the
wanted
way.
you around.
He showed him the way. He got sexually assaulted by a dragon to give him time to find the princess. He's done plenty on this trip. I think Shrek has been incredibly egotistical, and it's something we haven't mentioned a lot.
Yeah, no, he's been very selfish.
It's always about him, and Donkey finally calls him out on it.
Yeah, because eventually Shrek's like, fine, you can keep half the fucking swamp, see what I care.
You shouldn't give him those concessions, Shrek. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, you give a donkey half a swamp, and then he's going to want a glass of milk.
And by the way, half the swamp is apparently Shrek's front yard. Like, that's the totality of this plot of land known as the swamp?
Donkey gets the nice boulder.
He
What
gets that in the
a
divorce.
little fuck. That is a nice boulder. It really ties the swamp together.
Yeah, so Donkey starts calling out Shrek. He's like, hey man, you've been just nothing but fucking nasty to me ever since we met.
Yes, take the fucking hint.
And Shrek says to him, yeah, so why the fuck do you keep coming back?
Yes!
And Donkey, and he's going to his outhouse clearly to go take a shit or something, and Donkey doesn't let the man go take a shit because he jumps up on it. He's like, because that's what friends do. They forgive each other.
We're not friends. You're someone who glued on to me.
This is the mantra of anyone who's stuck in an abusive relationship.
Except the quote-unquote abuser doesn't want a relationship.
Oh, well, that's abusers will do that.
Negative reinforcement. So he says, yeah, well, if you're my friend, then why do you stab me in the back and, say shit about me with and say shit. Fuck off. He's like, yeah, well, if you're my friend, why'd you stab me in the back and talk shit about me with Fiona? And Donkey says, no, she wasn't talking about you. She was talking about someone else. And Shrek just immediately believes him. There's no pushback on that. Shrek's just like, oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. Hey, we're friends now. Cool, let's shake.
Yeah, guess this means I gotta run off on a mission of love as well. But there's no time.
Yeah, he's like, hey, what did Fiona actually say? Well, why don't you go ask her yourself? Oh, fuck, there's a wedding going on right now. Shit.
And it's in like 20 minutes, and we're in the goddamn swamp.
We'll never make it in time. And that's when Donkey says, hey, don't worry about it. I got a ride. And he whistles for his abuser.
I put he whistles for his girlfriend. That's a good relationship dynamic there.
Hey, Jules, what do you think would happen if you whistled to summon your girlfriend? Like, how well do you think that would go?
You would find my body parts delivered to you in 30 separate boxes.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Lucky. I didn't get any body parts.
I will split the body parts with you. You can have some too.
John gets some. John gets some not. John gets some. John gets some not. It all depends on what the flower tells you to do.
I thought you were doing that with body parts.
I thought you were doing that with body parts
That
too.
was the initial idea, yes.
Just like pulling fingers off. Like,
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
some, I get some not.
Well, then that's just two different piles. These are the ones John gets. These are the ones he doesn't.
Oh, so off they fly to Duloc. And my note here is, and that, kids, is how I trained your dragon mom.
Ayo.
I There's also the second ass line. You got no one likes a kiss ass.
I don't get how Donkey gets up there. Because Dragon is hovering the whole time, and Shrek grabs the chain to climb up, and Donkey's still on the ground, like, yeah, you go get her. And then they're both riding Dragon.
I think the answer is don't think about it.
I must.
So now that we are at the wedding ceremony, it's underway. And I love how there's
cue
still
cards.
cue cards.
The cue cards, yes.
Revered silence.
Well, yeah, because you have reverence and everyone's just like fawning over the couple, and then it switches from reverence to revered silence. So good.
I'm pretty sure that
So
that is
good.
the perfect sign for John's house. Just everyone be in revered silence all the time.
Yep. Or just don't be there.
Just
I think that's
yeah. Disperse. That's what my crowd sign says.
I'm trying to make you not Shrek, John, and you keep pulling yourself back into it.
I think just we know John. He is spiritually
Donkey. Take the fucking hint.
Does that make me the Fiona of the group?
At least
Like,
I'm
what?
dating a
Makes
dragon.
you the fuckwad. That's what it is.
Honestly, I would send knights to their death, and that would be a sacrifice I would be willing to make. That is,
Ayo.
yeah, it's this old crusty priest doing the wedding ceremony, but the sun's going down. So Fiona's like, "Hey, can we skip to the I do's?" And Farquaad is into that, but whoomp. Outside, dragon lands. A bunch of guards who are standing at attention outside run away.
And no one in the church hears that?
Nope, nobody hears the screaming.
Or the giant thud of dragon landing outside?
The cards did not tell them to react.
There's a card. Dragon reaction.
Yeah, shocked surprise. Yeah.
Now Donkey's giving his abuser girlfriend orders. Like, yeah, why don't you go have some fun? I'll whistle if I need you.
So casual dragon massacre is casual in the background.
So fucking casual. So fucking casual. And so Shrek's about to burst in, and because this movie has a runtime it's trying to make, Donkey's like, no, not yet.
Oh, this is funny though. This is funny.
We got to squeeze at least another 2 minutes. We got to do a bit.
It's the whole making it perfect thing shtick again about you have to object at the right moment, and then I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, he's like, you got to jump to the right moment. It's like, well, what's the right moment? Well, hang on. Let's see where they are. So instead of like cracking the door open like very slightly and like hearing where they were, he starts chucking Donkey up so he can see through one of the high up windows, and he eventually deduces that, oh shit, we're past that point. So Shrek just leaves him to splat on the ground and runs in right before Fiona and Fuckwad kiss. And he's like, I object.
Well, I mean, just for the treatment of Donkey here, we know that catapulting him from an evergreen tree didn't do shit, so he'll be fine. We already know how resilient Donkey is.
He's a flying, talking donkey, right?
Not very well. I mean, he doesn't even fall with much style, to be honest.
No, that is just a full-on thud as he plummets to the earth. So Shrek bursts in. Shrek kind of starts playing the crowd again because they got a little back and forth going from the previous event. Fiona and Fuckwad are like, "Yo, what the fuck, man? What are you doing here?"
I did want to bring up one line, by the way. And the line from Farquaad saying it's rude enough being alive when no one wants you. And my note here was John's nephew pep talk somehow ended up in the cut of this movie.
One of them this was a long time ago. He was in that phase where it would be like, who would win between blank, just like completely unrelated. And at one point he said, who would win between me and my immediate answer was the other thing. It doesn't matter what you're going to say. The other thing will win. And so then it just turned into like what random shit he could name. And I would tell it how it would kick his ass or kill him. And we had a ball. We had a great time.
I want a kid so that I can meticulously describe how it'll die. Aw. Okay, well, I don't want one
He
for
was saying
myself.
stuff like me and bacon. I'm like, see, now you think you're gonna win because bacon's yummy and you're gonna eat it, but a piece of it's gonna break off and get lodged in your throat, and you're gonna start hacking and coughing, and that's how it escapes, and that counts as a win for the bacon. Like,
I want a child discard. Not, I don't want one of my
You
own.
want
I want
someone
someone
else's
else's
child
child.
to
Yeah,
start.
I want
yeah.
someone else's child so I can say fucked up shit to it,
and
and
then
then it
you
goes.
leave. You don't
And
have
then
to
I
deal with the
leave.
aftermath. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
I like
So
how you
good.
call a child it. That's beautiful.
I'm not going to be imposing roles upon it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Also, they're not people.
It's a thing.
So Shrek tells Fiona, hey, don't marry him. He's not your true love, and he's only marrying you to be king. And she says, well, what do you know about true love? And Shrek stutters because he can't express his love for her. But it's pretty obvious to Lord Fuckwad. He's like, oh my god, the ogre's in love with the princess. And somebody cues up the card
Flip
that
through
says
the cue
laugh.
cards for laughter.
And then we get Jonathan Lithgow's pucker up lips noise, which is my everything.
Yes, he's like, come, just kiss me and then we'll have our happily ever after. I'm surprised he didn't get, like, keep stilt legs for his wedding ceremony because he's, like, half her height, like, up on his tippy toes with his lips out for the kiss.
I'm just amazed that I'm not the only one that Jules keeps referring to as Jonathan.
What? I'm
It's
lost.
John Lithgow. He's been saying Jonathan this whole fucking movie.
So they've waited too long. The sun's going down, so Fiona turns into her ogre form, and this they really make a moment of this versus when she was turning into a human. Lord Fuckwad is like, gross, ew. Guards, get him.
And it doesn't matter because we're already married and it's legal and I'm king now. Mwahahaha.
Yeah, he puts a crown on his head, and
He's gonna
as
slowly
Shrek's
torture Shrek, and he's gonna imprison Fiona.
back in the castle.
But no, we get a Dragon Ex Machina.
Well, we get Shrek whistling, and that summons the dragon, who comes in and crashes through a window and just immediately chomps Fuckwad.
So, ogre and donkey whistles are indistinguishable from each other? Because donkey said, I'll whistle if we need you, honey.
Well, that's the thing. Donkey is on her back, so she would know exactly that Shrek's whistle is not his.
Or would she?
Well, the whistle worked. I think that's
The whistle
important.
worked, yeah. I just don't understand why.
Donkey's got a great quip here. He's like, celebrity marriages, they never last.
Yeah.
So Shrek, well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So Shrek finally tells Fiona that he loves her, and what do you know? She loves him right back. So they smooch, and because Shrek is in fact her true love, she gets magicked up to start taking love's true form. Ripple of energy that just shatters all the stained glass pictures of Lord Fuckwad in the church.
And like Jules was mentioning earlier, very much a Beauty and the Beast ripoff with like the light beam shooting from, the feet and hands and all this for the magic transformation, which doesn't transform shit because she was already an ogre. This just like made it permanent.
Yeah, very theatrical way to make it permanent because she collapses to the ground and you're like, oh no, did she turn back? And
is she dead? That's the form of true love.
The great thing here, little moment, is that one Farquaad stained glass window survived. The dragon just punches it out. And Fiona gets up and, oh fuck, she's still an ogre. And she's disappointed that she isn't beautiful. But Shrek thinks she's beautiful, so aw. No, literally, I think like Thelonious, he takes one of the cue cards.
They actually create a cue card that says "Aw," so the
But
crowd.
very
can
importantly,
react.
it was Thelonious. It's our executioner buddy.
Yep.
And so they move in to kiss each other again, and Shrek looks into camera and like puts his hand over it. So does Shrek know that he's in a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly.
He knows he's in a movie. Okay, good. So then Not the Monkeys sing I'm a Believer.
I enjoyed the
Smash
song.
Mouth.
It's fucking Smash Mouth again, yeah.
Yeah, it plays while Shrek and Fiona get married in the swamp. All the fairy tale creatures and the executioner are there. And this is where we find the wolf from Little Red Riding Hood's happy ending, because apparently he and Drag came with a knight as a date.
I don't get this. Not the wolf part, but just like, why are all the fairy tale creatures there?
Because saved them from Lord Fuckwad.
So?
They're all his friends now.
Why?
Because he's
I get
changed.
why they're happy for him. You know, he saved him from Lord Fuckwad, like you said. He's their hero. I don't get why he's cool with them.
Well, he's about to go on his honeymoon and get far, far away from them, so he's probably tolerating them for just a few moments while he gets married. Yeah, so cross-dressing wolf found love as well. A fairy godmother turns some mice and an onion into a carriage, horse-drawn carriage for Shrek and Fiona, which
Onion
is very
carriage, yeah.
nice.
Nice detail.
Yep,
Onion
as
carriage.
opposed to a pumpkin. Yep.
And then Fiona, oh, this is a great moment. Fiona's about to throw the bouquet, and we all know the tradition. Bride throws the bouquet, everyone lines up, well, mostly the women, and whoever catches the bouquet is the next one to get married. And so we have Cinderella and Snow White fighting for the bouquet.
How is
Which,
Snow White conscious?
yeah, good. My note here is, if Snow White's awake, wouldn't that mean she doesn't need to catch a wedding bouquet?
Right?
Like her Prince Charming came and smooched her awake, and she's
And
fine.
then just fucked off.
Yeah, just fucked off. But nope, that's not how this is working. Doesn't really matter because the dragon catches the bouquet, so she's gonna marry her sexual abuse victim, just like it says in the Bible.
Well, in the Bible, it's still the father's discretion now. Come on, let's be fair. Let's be fair with our horrible texts.
No, in the Bible, if you rape somebody's virgin daughter, you just got to pay the dad 50 shekels and marry them.
Yeah, but the dad can still refuse. That's
Okay.
yeah. He gets the option.
Okay.
But I mean, she's damaged goods, so you're probably not going to get a good dowry at that.
And then we see the gingerbread man again. He's using a candy cane as a crutch. He's gotten the surviving leg reattached with icing.
Yes, he does.
And he says, God bless us, everyone.
Which I kind of hate. Like, it's just thrown in there because there's nothing else very Christmas Carol about this story. I mean, I guess, Shrek's
Tiny
kind of
Tim.
miserly and his heart softens, I guess. But
It's just because he's missing one leg.
But
here's the thing. Are there no bakers that could bake him another leg and they could reattach it with icing?
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. You can always bake new legs.
Not until the sequel.
Okay. Yeah, they gotta... They're still proofing
Yeah, then they just they turn that shit up to 11 in the sequel.
Yeah, so in the middle of the song, we get obligatory Macarena segment because late 90s, early 2000s. This fucking sequence goes on for a while. I feel like it overstays its welcome for sure.
Dancing and animation, it's the shtick.
I think what I read was Jeffrey Katzenberg insisted on this being the ending versus like them just getting married in the church and running off from there. And then eventually Shrek and Fiona do ride off into the sunset and they're in their own fairy tale book now. Aww. And that was Shrek. But before we go, as millennials, we know that every movie and TV show has a moral. So, Jules, what did you learn today?
Oh, that no doesn't mean no. No means maybe later.
Oh, fuck. Shit.
I think I killed you a little with that one.
Oh God, yeah, that is definitely a lesson that this movie tries to teach us. And John, what did you learn? Please, may it not be sexual assault related.
Today I learned you must obey the flowers.
And I learned how far I can go ripping off Disney before getting sued. So it's good to I know where the line is. It's good to know. And before we go, we do need to tell you what we're doing next time. So John, what do the folks at home have to look forward to?
Oh, we're likely breaking all sorts of international laws as we follow Mission Impossible.
Oh shit. And do you have a review to get us prepped for that mission?
I've got an excerpt from the San Francisco Chronicle. It's the worst kind of convoluted thriller. It can never unravel satisfactorily because there's nothing simple at its center, just more confusion. The last three quarters deal with trying to find the real villain. Pleasures are incidental and few. The picture relies on a trick involving a lifelike rubber mask on 3 occasions, and twice has the hero bring out an exploding stick of gum. Still, there's the theme song and the pleasure of hearing it in Dolby sound.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Someone did not like Mission Impossible. No.
Especially since those masks are going to be a staple of the franchise.
Yeah, and it doesn't get abused until Mission Impossible 2. The second movie just kills it.
Oh, John Woo.
Well, that's our show. If you liked it, please subscribe. If you loved it, please share it with all your friends. And whether you liked it or loved it, we'd appreciate if you gave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can to help others find us. Also, be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Links to all of that are in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for another episode of Millennial Rewind.